Good evening, welcome back to the legendary walls of Arco. Charlie Bosco and Mike Langley here, talking you through this evening's action. And as we did last night, we have got three finals for you. It is the three categories we saw competing earlier on in the semi-final. Male Youth A, Female Youth A, and Female Juniors. Youth A is climbers born in 2002 and 2003, and Juniors is the oldest category, climbers born in 2000 or 2001. This is the first Youth World Championship where everyone competing was born in this millennium. There we go, Mike. Little factory. That's about as advanced as my maths gets. But yeah, three very can't get used to saying three very entertaining semi-finals, but they were excellent semi-finals, but hard.
Yeah, really hard. I was just talking to some of the IFSC bods down the front of the wall. Yeah, that was a really hard semi-final round. But we did see some really good action actually, and I have to say, you know, this is the Youth World Championships. We've had the Senior World Championships just a few days ago, just finishing over there in Japan. But this is really exciting tonight. There's actually three categories on display tonight, and a lot of climbers who may be familiar to the regular viewers of the Senior World Cup. So I would say, if you're watching this, share the link, get more people to watch this, because there's some big names out there tonight. We've got Hidemas and Nishida, Colin Duffy, Alberto Hines Lopez, a couple of guys there who have already made Senior World Cup finals. Brooke Rabatu, Olympic qualified. Laura Agora made semi-finals in Hachioji. Natsumi Hirano. Lots of very big names. So this is really set to be an excellent night's entertainment.
It is, and I was about to say, before I resume, I will quickly let you know who's climbing. Female juniors, I believe, are coming out first, and it's Matea Pozzi, Natalia Grossman, Yuka Higuchi, Lucia Durfel, Eliska Adamovska, Brooke Rabatu, Nowen Ark, and Laura Rigora. Especially those last three names, I'm sure, will be very familiar to IFSC viewers. And Brooke, as we mentioned, qualified for the Olympics. Quite extraordinary, and here she is, a week later, climbing under the famous overhangs of Arco, where of course the Rabatu Ebbetsfield family have quite a bit of history. But Mike, I was about to say, talk us through the three routes. It's actually only two.
Yes, that's right. On the left-hand side of the wall, on the yellow, or orangey-yellow side of the arena here, that's going to be Female Youth A and Female Junior categories. On the right-hand side of the wall, it's going to be these chaps here, the Male Youth A's on the far right.
Let's just talk you through who it is. We've got Xander Waller already out, Paul Zemft, who was fourth in Moscow last time out, looking to finally make his way onto the Youth World Championship podium. Hamish MacArthur of Great Britain. Davide Marco Colombo, as you would expect, getting the big introduction from the MC in front of his home crowd. Born in 2002, so in the older year of the category. Hidemasa Nishida now, World Cup winner. Wow, and that's in Youth A, they're not even the oldest climbers. Quite serious competition. Ao Yurikuza now of Japan as well. Here comes Colin Duffy, won it in Innsbruck in 2017. He won it in Moscow in 2018. Can he do a hat-trick of Youth World Championship wins? I should say, every time he climbs, he seems to put on an exceptional show. A lot of people texted me today actually saying they're looking forward to watching him climb. And speaking of people I got a lot of texts about, Alberto Hines Lopez was one of the stories of the Chamonix World Cup, and looking forward to seeing him climb. He had an amazing performance in the Chamonix final. Absolutely battled for every move. So Male Youth A will be up first. Mike, sorry, I interrupted you. Talk us through the two routes.
Yeah, so on the right-hand side of the wall where the Male Youth A, it's going to be 52 moves on that double stepped overhang, and then the big upside down barrel And we really do hope that we see a few of the guys up in there tonight. They can see it just as the athletes walk off to their right-hand side on the stepped overhang there, and then that ginormous roof feature.
This is how they'll come out. Xander Waller, Paul Jempt, Hamish MacArthur, Davide, Marco Colombo, Hidemasa Nishida, Ao Yurikuta, Colin Duffy, and then Alberto Hines Lopez. Mike, you'll get to the end of this sentence if it kills me. I'm determined.
Well, yeah, and basically I think we were going to expect, like we saw last night, hopefully climbers really racing through those lower stepped routes and trying to get somewhere near the barrel, at least through the roof, and maybe a few climbers onto the head wall. 52 moves, and as we saw last night, time can be an issue here in Arco. It's a very high wall. I'm not 100% sure exactly how high it is, but the speed wall there is 15 metres, and we're way towering above that. So
well, I think, yeah, sorry to interrupt again. You would.
Yeah, you're on a road to roll today.
No, sorry, yeah. That's enough about you. Let's talk about me. There's also not much point, in inverted commas, measuring the wall, because as you can see, the height is not the key. The actual climbing distance, I'd imagine, must be over 20 metres.
Yeah, it's got to be. I think the wall's vertical height has got to be at least 18. Yeah, it's an absolute beast, this wall in here in Arco, and the judges are always keeping one eye on the time here. The clock will be pretty visible to the athletes. There's a ginormous screen in the middle of the speed wall there. That's the time for the judges, and there's a couple of timing screens off to the sides as well for the athletes. And we saw in the semi-final round, unfortunately, bar a few athletes, there's quite a lot of them stuck at the base of the wall. So we're hoping for scores more than sort of 20, 30. We want to see right up there in the high 40s and 50s.
Yes, just to let you know, we don't have a feed for the clock direct from the official clock, so I'll do our best to time it for you. But yeah, as I say, sadly we do not have a feed for the clock, a matter about which I will pass no further comment. I'm sure you can imagine my opinion on that. So Xander Waller makes his way out now. Male Youth A final about to get underway. Youth World Championship on the line. 35 plus for Xander Waller in the semi-final. Made it in 8th place, just ahead of Thomas Podlan, who was 34 plus. So it just goes to show you that every move can be absolutely crucial. And there's quite a contingent of Team USA fans, athletes, coaches, parents out in the crowd tonight. And I'm sure Xander and Colin can expect some good support.
Yeah, I think Xander can definitely expect some hard moves here tonight. Imagine, I said 52 moves. I reckon this is going to be a pretty hard one, considering the calibre of climber the next 7 climbers, including Xander, have got in front of them. This is not going to be a million miles away from a lead Senior World Cup final route.
Well, we've got Hidemasa Nishida as a World Cup winner. We've got Alberto Hines Lopez, who's already been in the World Cup final this year. So as you say, the standard and the difference between senior and youth competition is becoming increasingly blurred.
One thing that we're really trying to avoid tonight is people standing on bolts. We had an incident last night where we went from 3rd position all the way down to last. Was it close to last?
Yeah, last year you ended up scoring 6, I think it was. Mikel Asia, Lina Cicero Molina. So Xander Waller through the first 45-degree overhang, and then of course there's those quite distinctive stepped overhangs. Small one followed by a large one.
We saw some real cryptic sequences in the women's semi-finals earlier today on this same panel. It's actually, there's 2 routes on this same bit of wall, but it's just the one route up the centre here. This is where the men's final was in the World Cup last year. Remember the big scenes there. Jakob Schubert taking the win, only really halfway up the wall. I mean, like I say, we really want to see people high up tonight, so hopefully the route setters have made it relatively casual just to get going, and then they'll really start cranking through this lower section. Just a bit of an idea of where we are on the wall. That's hold 17 at the moment for Xander.
Xander Waller just taking a rest, but we've talked a lot about the height of these walls and just how many moves there are. You can't really afford to rest too much, even if you find a good spot, which I think in a way makes life slightly easier for the route setters. They can put little rest spots in and they know that no one's going to hang there for 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
often on shorter walls like we had in Hachioji for the Senior World Championship, they're really wary of putting in anywhere you might be able to rest, because the climbers could just chalk up and then burn to the top in 3 minutes. No such worries here in Arco. Not only long, but they're time-consuming moves. When you start coming back down towards the ground and the wave of the wall here burns time. We saw that yesterday.
I was just having a quick sort of back in the day chat with Wim Verhoeven, the IFSC technical delegate here, just saying that back in the day the judges used to talk to the route setters before the event and assign how much time the route should actually have. And the route setter would say, it's about 8 minutes, let's call it 10 then. And that was the time limit. But now, things are really going in the opposite direction and coming down to 6 minutes and very strictly on that now. Hold 28 in his left hand now. Going pretty well here, slowly starting to power out a little bit. Pretty bad footholds on this route.
He's got to get that clip done. Now he does it. Elbows just beginning to come out. Definitely getting a little bit pumped, starting to breathe a little bit more. Looks pretty eager to get another chalk up, but I think instead he'll just push on into a powerful shoulder move up to that big red ball out on the left.
Now you can see the overhang curves all the way over the back of him at the moment where he is now, that you have to go all the way up and then all the way back down and end up level where he actually is, but in a completely different part of the wall. Almost 15 moves further on as well, hopefully for Xander, just getting a decent rest here. It looks like he needs it fully, got the forearms involved, just wrapping around that big ball.
Xander Waller putting up a good battle with this route here. You can see definitely getting pumped. But still going. 2-finger pocket now. He needs to swing round at some stage and go feet first.
The classic Arco spin coming up now. There it is. Camera's looking like it's had a bit of ice cream smeared over it during the break.
I think it's the humidity. As we lose Xander Waller, just exiting the wave. I was about to say the humidity really up here. Suddenly feels like it's got a lot more humid, just literally in the last hour.
Yeah, you can see a bit of a sheen on Xander's back as he come off there. It's pretty hot up there. I have to say, sun's not out here, but let's just have another look. As we walk through, feet through, you can see the big foothold edge for his right foot that the route setters have put that there just for trying to help push the foot through, and at which point he was really gassed. Yeah, the conditions almost worse than this morning in the semi-finals, even though the sun was close to the wall because it's gone so sweaty.
Yeah, I think it is. I think conditions are worse actually, because the wall does a good job of sheltering the climbers from direct sun. So the sun isn't really what you need to worry about most of the time here in Arco, unless you climb at precisely the wrong time of day. But as long as you're halfway sensible with when you schedule your events, which obviously the IFSC have been, generally the sun's not a big issue. It's more about humidity. But Xander Waller gets us underway. Just wait for his score to come through. Paul Gemft of France will be out next. Here he comes. Hasn't got to walk far to get to the wall. The climbers have already done observation earlier on. Got 6 minutes to look at the route. He's got 40 seconds just to think through it again, make sure he hasn't forgotten anything. Oh, he really has remembered it well. Look at that. He's miming going through the overhang. Well, if he completes the real version of his walkthrough, I'm sure he'd be a happy man. That went all the way to the top.
Yeah, why not? Put that confidence, I think. A lot of recreational climbers will look at that roof and think, there's no point in trying to route read all the way up there, I'll just get the bottom bit dialed. But yeah, Paul Gemft obviously pretty confident here. Scored a 38 plus in the semi-final round. There was one top on that route. That was on the opposite side of the arena. Confidently through that lower section, skipping the sort of bump again hold. That was hold number 8, just didn't bother using. A lot of power, but you've got to be careful here. We talked a lot of analogies about fuel tanks and batteries and everything, and definitely don't want to hit the gas too early on these powerful moves. Got a long way to go on this route.
Yeah, it's one of those strange situations where you don't necessarily need to use all your power. You might have power to burn, and we know Poljemt is a good boulder as well, but there's not really any point using that power unnecessarily.
You can see him just, I think he's just wiping a little bit of sweat off his brow there a little bit as well, so definitely gives you a bit of an idea of how hot they are.
It is very muggy, to use a good British term. Do Americans say muggy? Anyway,
I do know there's a lot of mosquitoes flying around. That's for sure, unfortunately. So that's
yeah.
at least the concern of the athletes, but for us in the box here.
Yeah, Mike Langley and I have got laptops, papers, our box, our screen, and a big bottle of Jungle Formula. It tells you everything you need to know about conditions here. It's sweaty and there's a lot of mosquitoes about.
Yeah, and if anyone in the arena's listening, a couple of gelatos wouldn't go amiss.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Someone must have an earpiece in, listening to us two blabber away.
Hold 23 now for Paul. Really good pace through this lower section.
He's keeping up a nice cadence to his climbing, not really resting. All I can think about is an Amarena gelato now.
Actually just had an ice cream, but I wouldn't say no to a second.
Don't.
That's how good they are around here.
I didn't have time. My heart is broken.
Oh, 26, look how bad that little crimp is for his right hand. Like we said here, we imagine that the level's going to be really right up there, as we would expect, as close to a senior level male final.
Isn't that a fabulous shot? It really gives you an idea of the situation here in Arco. On a rainy day, someone should sit here and figure out how many routes you can see from the venue. Got to be a couple of thousand. It's quite extraordinary.
Oh, big foot slip there, just as he's bumping into the match on the big globe.
So this is where we'll really start to separate the climbers. You can see where he's heading for, right at the top of your screen there. Little blue dot, which is the top. So Paul now entering the really steepest section of the route, and then a couple more moves and he'll be heading back down. It was in the roof that we lost Xander Waller.
He's really fighting all of a sudden here. You see the hold's pretty bad in the roof there. Pockets is a classic way of getting the climbers to spin around. I think he has just seen that now.
The thing is, if you've got any sort of reluctance to turn around, as Paul Jemp just cuts loose with the feet, if you've got any sort of reluctance to turn around, you really struggle through this roof. You just have to absolutely go for it. The climbers we've seen really succeed on this Arco wave are climbers that just don't hesitate, swing the feet round and get involved.
That position is where you're pulling the rope from above your head. That's feels odd when you do it. Normally you just pull the rope from your waist. Paul Jemp putting in a big fight here in the roof.
This exit of the roof is clearly going to cause some problems. Paul Jemp looks like he has got a bit of energy left. He just had a look down at the clock though, and we will judge from his reaction how much time he's got left. I suspect not much. He's certainly set a new high point. It's now just a case of how far he can push that high point.
Just mass confusion a little bit under the roof here, just trying to find the correct sequence.
Oh, as soon as the feet cut loose, you knew he only had half a second or so left. So Paul Jempt, as I say, new high point. Let's see where it lands him.
Yeah, it should be around a 42 plus there for Paul. There was a good battle in the roof actually, but so many times, so many hearts been broken in that wave feature, just spinning around and getting really lost in the roof. It's always so difficult to know which point to spin, where to put the feet. Do you go feet first, toes first, heels first? so many calculations to make it there, and at that point on the wall you've already done 40 odd moves.
Yeah, it doesn't help that you're getting more and more boxed by the second, and you're trying to make these big decisions, as you say, Mike.
Yeah, 40 moves, you're already usually getting very close to the top of a World Cup lead route, so to get 42 moves in the bag and be nowhere near the top is a really, really big challenge here for these guys. 52 moves is the top.
42 Puljemp score flashes up, and Sandawola was a 40. Hamish MacArthur of Great Britain will be the next climber out. There's Hamish. Cameraman finally finds him down the bottom of the wall and about to get underway. 19th in the Moscow Youth World Championships almost exactly 1 year ago.
Yeah, really upped his game this year, Hamish. Been on the tour a little bit for the IFSC, for Team GB.
Yeah, no semi-final for him yet, but he's been close in Kran in Slovenia, where we'll be in the last weekend of September for a World Cup. He was 29th, so won't get a lot closer to a semi-final than that without making it. And the results are beginning to really come for him. Picked up a couple of 5th places in the Youth Cups so far, and a 3rd last time out in Imst earlier on this month.
See there for Hamish, he's just looking at that upper section, he's thinking a few moves ahead whilst he's on a sort of comfortable pair of undercuts. Almost like a snooker player just thinking 5 shots ahead. Hamish just checking out all of the sequences. See how bad some of the footholds are on this line actually. Not really seen that so much in this competition so far. It's all been pretty decent feet just to kind of keep the speed off the athletes, try and get them near the top. This male youth A route definitely ups the ante a little bit. Hamish climbing really steadily so far.
You've got to stay true to your climbing style, but time could definitely be a factor on this route.
Nice little rollover swing move there from Hamish. Nice move. Hold 17 and 18 is the one that he's matching. First of the 2 small roofs.
Conditions, it feels to me, are slightly improving, I have to say. Feels like the humidity is just beginning to drop ever so slightly.
I do hope the mosquitoes drop with them. I've just got 2 on the arm.
Yeah, if you hear a karate chop, it's Mike dispensing of a mosquito. Hamish just needs to figure this sequence out actually. Doesn't want to commit dynamically to that move. It's not a good enough hold for the right hand.
Yeah, a lot of really small in-cut edges on these routes here tonight. See, he's just climbing really statically between all the different moves. He's getting up until the head wall now. Excuse me, at the end of the head wall into the roof. Big pop up there. Did actually have to commit to that. Maybe he'll take a little bit of rest here that we saw from Puljemp and Sandawola.
Be interested to see if height plays much of a role here. Hamish, one of the taller climbers in this final. Can't help thinking that to kind of in the absolute meat of the overhand, the wave, as you're going down feet first, might be a slight disadvantage at height. Trying to bunch yourself in as you move towards your feet. We shall see. Definitely getting tired now, but still fighting.
Hamish entering the wave, then pocket will be with his left hand, and then he'll spin his feet. We saw Paul Jemp really just straight arm spinning. Let's see what Hamish makes of this sequence now. Does bring the feet through. There's a whole new angle on it. Gives you an idea of where he is on the wall. You can see the top there, that's hold 52. Again, a little bit of confusion for Hamish. It's inevitable, really. It's such a complicated sequence, but can he just get this next quick draw done? Try and push through. Bit of a sag down on that pinch now, but can he get one more move? He does.
Hamish really fighting here. Have to go through with the right hand, and he'll get a plus for heading up there. And excellent presence of mind as well. Saw the overhand coming, and I think would have clobbered it pretty hard if he hadn't got an arm out. So dealt well with the fall. Let's have a look. Yeah, you can see just the accuracy just beginning to go as he went up with the left hand, and then he goes here with the right. I think he knew it was in vain. Yeah, kind of slapped at it.
Yeah, he'd gone past the point of clipping there realistically as well, so it's a good effort though. It should be a new high point for Hamish. This route does look like it just has a perfect build to it, so it just slowly starts to drain the tank, and you just get more and more pumped as you go through that tricky little barrel. But I think we could definitely see some people pushing towards the top here. Two tops on this area of the wall last night. Two tops from the Team Japan. Spectacular dyno on the route last night as well. So let's see what the route sets have got in store up there tonight. Hamish sitting down and looking particularly pumped.
Yeah, 43 plus, so he'll be pleased with that. So far, it's been in order. We had obviously Xander Waller being first out was always going to set a high point. Paul Jemp came out and surpassed it. Hamish McArthur surpassed it again. And we talk a lot about separation, getting the climbers split. We don't want them all falling off on the same move. And I think the route setters will be pretty happy with how things have gone so far. Davide Marco Colombo now of Italy. So 6 minutes begins for him.
Really powerful first move, Davide, just not using that initial first right foot hold, just doing it as a big left foot step through.
Davide reaches around the corner with the right hand, and yeah, we'll hit the first of the overlaps above this next panel. Taking things pretty steady so far.
Yeah, going around at the moment, hold 15. Doesn't look completely comfortable in hold 15. It sort of looks like a bit of a spread crimp. There you can see it. So many small edges on this route. You can see really over crimping on a lot of the holds. Shaking a little bit on his left hand. Just commits to the rollover. Just have to pause a little bit before giving everything to go all the way over the top. Davide moving on now out of the rest, maybe just 10 seconds or so in the resting position, just looking at his hand options here. He's gone right hand to the highest of the two and then decides to under wrap on the left hand. It's actually quite a nice sequence in the end for him, really managing to use the strength of the actual joints of the arms and the wrists themselves rather than the power in the arms. A little bit of a powerful move up there to hold 23. First of those big sloping chips. Looking pumped a little bit here, Davide. Just needs to try and get his flow back. So just trying to find something for the right foot there. This is a sort of quite hard cross through move. We saw Hamish really locking this one, but doing it really cautiously. There's the lock, and you've just got to weight that right arm by bringing the body round to the left. See, elbows going up slightly, but that's what you expect on that type of grip. Actually reading his body language in the face, he looks very calm at the moment. Slight puff of the cheeks there before heading to hole 33, this big slopey ball in the roof. So really just trying to get the weight out of the hands there, just trying to sort of wrist wrap and forearm wrap that hold a little bit. Manages to manufacture a bit of a knee bar there, which is good thinking here from Davide. Maybe he can get as much back as possible because he did look slightly tired before heading into the wave.
Climbers did have a savagely hard semi-final earlier as well. So it's not just fatigue on this route we've got to think about.
Yeah, Davide scored 42 plus on his semi-final route. There was 3 people on 47 plus, and the top after that, the next 4 climbers to come.
Yeah, just to let you know, Ao Yurakusa and Hidemasa Nishida, who we'll be seeing later on, are tied right the way through the competition, so we would like to get them separated in the final.
Now he's looking really tired, not the ideal setup into the roof. Takes the cut loose from low down, but has to bring it back in before taking the full spin.
Again, you've got to lead with the feet there. Surely when the feet cut loose, he's going to struggle. Well, does well to hold on to it, but I don't think that was the most efficient way of doing the move for sure.
Huge flexibility in the spine to get through there. Now he pulls the rope over the right shoulder, struggles with the clip a little bit. It's going to be hurting him now.
Oh, Davide Marco's in all sorts of trouble here. Needs to get that clip done. Really beginning to fight.
Really doesn't show it on his face. His body language says something else there.
Should give poker a go. You wouldn't know anything from looking at him. But now we see a grimace. Cuts loose with the left hand and had looked in trouble for a while there, Davide Marco. That won't be enough to match Hamish MacArthur's high point. Let's have another look. He did the move onto the wave in such a powerful way.
Yeah, he's just searching for something for his left toe there, just trying to clamp that sloping ledge and just couldn't get anything out of it for the left toe, just trying to get the sort of bicycle clamp, and he just wasn't there for him. Again, it's the killer wave here at Arco. Didn't set a new high point there. Should be just above Xander Waller with that result, but
yeah, it gets very bunched up. It's just miming exactly what went on. Yeah, it gets very bunched up in there. It's actually quite hard to read exactly where climbers are at any one time. 40 plus, yeah, so he moves ahead of Xander Waller solely because of the plus. There you can see it. Well, again, the route setters will be happy. Everyone on a different score, which is exactly what we want to see. Hidemasa Nishida.
4 really big hitters coming up now then. I'm really hoping this top hold is going to see some action. Hidemasa Nishida could most definitely be the guy who's up there.
We see a lot of climbers miming their way up a route. Hidemasa Nishida just stood stock still, going through it in his mind.
He's just feeding the computer the information. Closes his eyes, just relaxes for a few seconds.
Won't be that relaxing if a judge says, oh, you've got to get on actually.
Yeah, I get the feeling he knows exactly how long 40 seconds is standing there. 2 deep breaths and he's off. Fabulous starting routine there for Hidemasa. Something that's clearly worked on. The mindset, so important. There you can see that first move actually. The troubles sometimes these athletes start right at the bottom. Hidemasa using the left heel, which was slightly better than Davide Marco's cross through method that he was using on his feet. He was using quite a lot of power right out the first move.
Hidemasa Nishida is the reigning youth world champion in this discipline and in this category, Youth A. He will move up to junior next year, but he's got some competition if he wants to hang on to his title. The 2-time Youth B champion. Somebody has just come over to give us some information, who is just explaining something to Mike. Apologies there. Made a foghorn look quiet, so apologies there. Hidemasa Nishida, now I was just saying, is the reigning Youth A lead world champion, but the 2-time Youth B lead world champion Colin Duffy has moved up this year into this category. So the competition could be pretty fierce. Al Uracusa still to come, Colin Duffy still to come, Alberto Hines Lopez, who was the only climber to top the semi-final route, is still to come. Mike, sounds like you just received some information.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what I just received, to be honest. But yeah, I'll figure out what she was talking about, and I'll let you know in due course.
An appeal of some sort?
Yeah, appeal against Paul Gempt. I think it's a very minor bit of information, to be honest. But it's saying he's been scored as a 42, but it might be a 41 plus.
Okay. Yeah, they are very good, the officials, actually, about coming to let us know everything, so thank you to them. Doesn't sound like a huge one, because actually it wouldn't affect his position right now.
Yeah, it's not a heartbreaker, luckily.
Yeah, we've already seen climbers downgraded to a score of 6. With, I'm thinking of Mikael last night when he stood on the first bolt.
Yeah, I think it'd gone from like hold 46 down to hold 6. It was pretty drastic stuff, and I thought that's what the panic was there for a moment. But it's just a half a move.
Well, let's keep an eye on Paul Gemp's score. There's nothing changed about it yet. Still at mark to 42.
Hidemasa just using some of the features here in the Arco wall just to make this move up to this big left-hand, big sloping ball at the base of the route where the route really starts to kick in. He looks quite comfortable on the features here, though. Does go up to the right-hand side of that ball quite easily. Really got like unstated levels of power, Hidemasa. Doesn't immediately strike you as a super powerful climber, but really doesn't struggle on the hard moves.
No, he's good on the boulders as well, Hidemasa Nishida.
He's not 100% sure about this clip at the moment. He doesn't seem to be 100% comfortable on this big sloping ball. He doesn't seem to be able to get it in quite a comfortable position to rest like some of the other guys have done. So this could be early trouble here for Hidemasa. Doesn't look completely convinced by this early section in the big roof here in Arco.
Yeah, it's a feeling all climbers will know, where you can get a hand off and get both hands off, but you can't really get one to where the quick draw is.
He has got like next level endurance, so hopefully he'll be able to get a little bit back and maybe rest his way through this cruxy roof section.
Just kicks the next quick draw, doesn't matter, by the way. It won't be marked down or anything. just getting slightly tangled up in the rope, does well to get himself out there.
Yeah, really well just to untangle that and clip the rope in the same move. He's looking for that bicycle as well between the feet. Moves his feet, he's moving his feet really fast through here. Let's hold 41 and 42 there.
So he's closing in on Hamish MacArthur's high point, just thinks about clipping. Looks like he's getting a bit pumped, but perhaps still got a bit of energy left. Oh, he could really have done without that.
Yeah, he just smacked the draw to try and bring it towards him, so he knows he can reach it, but now it's swinging in a way that's go away from the wall rather than closer to him. Potentially a big error there. That's hold 43, so moves off that, he'll get a new high point. That is a new high point. Now he's in a much better position to clip. That's the level of endurance Hidemasa has.
Feet cut loose now for Hidemasa Nishida, pushing on. High point getting forced higher and higher up the wall here.
Nice little drag for the left hand just to release the right foot. That was superb route reading. Hidemasa Nishida putting on a really good show here.
So he moves into first place. Hamish MacArthur down into second. Paul Gempt down into third. And I think Hidemasa Nishida might be closing in on the top here. You can see the final quick draw. Now we can see the final hold. Still going. You'll need to get the feet sorted and then can launch for the top. You can tell he's absolutely at his limit here. Here he goes. He can't make it work. Takes a massive fall and sets a very impressive new high point.
I have to say that was super impressive because he didn't manage to get that rest right at the bottom of the roof. Pushed through, had that real big clipping issue around the sort of cruxy hold 42 and just dipped into this next level of endurance he has for that top section. That top move looks like an absolute beast of a jump and you need something left in the tank. Let's have another look. You can see it was really powered out in both arms. It's all really off the right foot and it's slightly awkward. You've got to go up and back slightly.
Got a very impressive amount of air time. Halfway, Belay barely need to lower him. Yeah, very spectacular stuff from Hidemasa Nishida. Obviously went to the Mori school of leading, which is just get so tired you think you can't carry on and then just carry on for 2 more minutes.
Just carry on anyway. Yeah, you know it's a big fall when you have the opportunity to look down, check your belay is still there and hold the rope with both hands.
If he wasn't there, it'd be a bit of a heart in the mouth moment, that's for sure. If he'd knocked off after your 6 minutes or so. So there you see it, Hidemasa Nishida, 51 plus 52 is the top, so we won't get much closer than that without finding a top. And his compatriot Yurakusa is up next, and him and Hidemasa are tied on score in every round of the competition, so we would like them ideally to be separated. By my watch. Hidemasa Nishida had 7 seconds left on the clock. So if it's for a podium position, it will come down to time. If it's not for a podium position and they are tied on score, it will just be a tie. They've got to be separated somehow if it's for a medal.
Still being, just thinking back to that starting sequence, the re-observation for Hidemasa, the breathing, eyes closed. I think a lot of athletes could read quite a lot into that. Maybe adopt something similar. Got to do what works for you when it comes to sports psychology, though.
Out, underway now.
Bit more of a powerful style from ours we saw compared to Hidemasa.
Really is a big hitting second half of this final. It's a big hitting final, full stop. But with Hidemasa Nishida having been out, Yurakusa on the wall, Colin Duffy still to come, Alberto Hines Lopez still to come. And just wait till you see the lineup for the women's finals as well. Very strong categories here in Arco tonight.
Out already on hole 25, just looking down, bit of a nod of the head. He's happy where he is and his time.
Well, I would imagine he will have in the back of his head the fact that he is tied with his compatriot all the way through, and it might come down to time.
Yeah, you're going to have to go really well to beat Hidemassa's high point there.
He will, yeah. But he was, as I say, he was Hidemassa's equal in both qualifying and semi-final, so I'm sure he'll back himself.
Into the setup section of the roof now. Hidemassa couldn't really find this rest, but seemingly didn't need it. Al, both hands fully wrapped. You can see him just looking up, making sure he's got this next sequence to try and blast through the crux here. Doesn't always seems like it doesn't matter what the set sequence is, it's always a struggle to get through the roof.
I just think, as I said last night, even if you put a ladder there, there's still an element of which rung to hold, when to swing the feet round. You basically cannot go from hands first to feet first without some element of indecision.
Yeah, it's very rare. These climbers only really here in Arco ever seen such a feature where you're properly climbing downhill like that.
This is the only final tonight on this section of the wall as well, so we won't be seeing this section of wall in action again, because this is actually this evening is the conclusion of the lead program here in Arco.
Al just not completely convinced with his efforts on the first time, just keeps his feet way out to the left that time. He's just going really...
Didn't actually ever go feet first.
No, he's kind of really front on style.
He's kind of crabbed it,
Yeah,
gone left, just gone sideways.
He's so much power through there, he can get really tired all of a sudden.
Oof, was hanging on just 2 fingers on that left hand, had to get it corrected and did.
Massive fight in the roof, as so many times we've said that. Somehow still hanging on his left arm. That's hold 41 and 42 now.
Speak of which, Paul Gemft still got 42 according to our scores. So he's up ahead of Hamish MacArthur, so now he's into second place. Ao Urakusa.
Another immense recovery all of a sudden, gets through the roof and somehow gets enough back to get a few more moves. Now looks tired and does fall.
So he is separated from Hidemasa Nishida in the final. Ao Urakusa will move into second place. Hidemasa will stay in first. Hamish MacArthur will move down to third. And we've got 2 climbers still to come. It's 2-time Youth B World Champion Colin Duffy, and then Alberto Gines Lopez of Spain.
Really looking forward to seeing Colin Duffy. That was one of my finest memories of this commentary job, is seeing Colin Duffy top in Innsbruck.
Oh, he puts on a great show. There we can see how it stands right now. So Hamish MacArthur will be watching on nervously. Could find himself on the podium, but you'd have to say, given the calibre of the 2 climbers still to come, it would be something of a shock if one of them couldn't surpass his third place. Here's Colin Duffy, making his way out, moved up into Youth A, and we mentioned it earlier, you could see he's grown a lot. He was definitely one of the shorter climbers in the Youth World Championship the past couple of times we've seen him, but yeah, really grown a lot and moved up into Youth A. So he gets underway in his new age category. Youth A, 2-time Youth B lead world champion. up against some very stiff competition. Just so you know, Paul Gemt has now been moved down from a 42 to a 41 plus. Actually didn't affect his rank, he'll stay in 4th.
Colin, one of those climbers who's now got to prove himself in the Youth A category after really smashing it in Youth B. Sometimes these step up in age categories can really be hard to make the bridge. Colin seems to be still up there, proving he's got the ability in both age categories. Slightly awkward double clip there. Goes for the big 1-2 over. We saw that from Arco. Colin Duffy skipping 2 moves in the process there. Now just bumps the right hand back in. Super powerful so far from Colin. We do hope he's just measuring his energy really well. Just looks uber confident so far. I'm sure soon will be the moment when Colin will be released onto the senior circuit as well.
I think there'll be a lot of people looking forward to that.
This is tricky little rollover. He's doing it with the left hand, using the volume for his right hand. So Colin Duffy finding a couple of different sequences here in the male Youth A competition. Seems to be working for him though, quite cleanly through those alternative beaters. Really high clip as well before making this big move up to the big red sloper at the base of the roof.
Yeah, it's a big move up with that, with the left shoulder onto that big round ball.
Statically up, that's probably the most static we've seen anybody make that move. So Colin's really got this mega lock-off strength that he's putting to good use here. Now let's see what he does. Will he push straight through or does he rest?
Choosing to rest.
Opts to roll over to that side pull with his left hand before matching, but makes it look easy. Now he's going to push through the roof. Then can he get through this section cleanly? Try and push Hidemasa Nishida's high point and find a top on this route.
Yeah, he will have to find a top to set a new high point, but if he could at least match Hidemasa Nishida, he'd actually move ahead on countback.
He really doesn't be showing any signs of fatigue at the moment, but we know that this roof, any of these sequences you get wrong, really drains you instantly. Just got to find something to get something out of the feet. There isn't a clamp available there. We've seen that for a number of guys just looking for that.
Oh, that's... Colin's got himself in a little bit of trouble here, having to go back effectively a move. He's already gone back a couple of holes to get the clip done.
Now he goes back into where he was, hold 42. He's just camping around on one arm. Look at this from Colin Duffy. That is extraordinary. He needs to get his feet engaged at some point on this route. That was absolutely immense.
It's a good example. Just because you got the power doesn't mean you necessarily want to use it. You want to hold on to some of that energy. How much has Colin got left now? Now he's beginning to look fatigued as he goes up with the left hand and then the right onto that sloping volume. Still looks like he's got a bit left in him. Hidemasa Nishida cruise these next few moves. If Colin Duffy can do the same, he'll have a chance at going for the top. Colin Duffy, from just north of Denver in the United States, finds himself on the famous overhangs in Arco, looking to make it 3 Youth World Championship wins in a row. He is not going to manage it. He's going to move himself into second place in Youth A. but he certainly looks as if he thinks he might have given a little bit more.
Yeah, he looked really tired in that top groove. Unfortunately, he couldn't match those spectacular moments of those World Championships in years past. It was the roof section once again here in Arco that was the undoing of Colin Duffy there. He looked so confident going into it, and then he lost his feet, lost the clip, was canvassing around all over the place. I mean, obviously he has bags of power, but at that moment in there he just couldn't get the feet engaged. There's a big mistake in the roof there for Colin Duffy. Really lower down on the route, and obviously super fresh at this stage. But you feel like he just didn't quite get the feet working properly in that roof section. And right at the top here, we just see him pulled right into this groove, into this big shoulder press, at which point he looked absolutely gone.
Amazing though to step up into a category that's quite so strong, and already he's going to pick up a medal, Colin. It will be at least silver, at least bronze. As it stands, would pick up the silver medal. But coming up from Youth B, the two-time Youth World Champion picks up a medal in Youth A. Instantly wants to discuss the route. I think that was Hamish he was chatting to. That's how it stands right now, and again, chapeau to the route setters. Not a single tied score. Alberto Gines Lopez, the only climber still to go.
Well, they would have absolutely nailed this if the last climber out could top the route. Saw that last night. It was absolutely brilliant.
Sadly, we don't get to write our own reviews. Charlie and Mike are not only funny, but good-looking young men as well.
And definitely don't get paid enough.
Yeah, exactly. Said, should have a word with the union.
Alberto Gines Lopez, then one of the stars of the Chamonix Senior World Cup in July.
Yeah, his task is simple but not easy. He's got to match Hidemasa Nishida's attempt of going for the top hold. So he's got to match that, and he'd win on count back to semi-final. As I say though, if we could write our own script, it would be for the last climber to come out and blow everyone out the water and show why they're the best climber in the final and why they got to climb last.
This route really is just a endurance build. It just gets harder and harder the higher you get, and then it's just we just wait really, and hopefully to see Alberto through the big roof section, and hopefully he can find a way through that without losing his feet too much. Just get cleanly up to the big roof, and hopefully he gets through that and we can see a proper effort on this top head wall. Colin Duffy on this next sequence and climbed it in a really powerful style, skipping the second of these two holds. Colin went from there straight the way all the way up into the head wall. Alberto just using a slightly more controlled sequence. You do feel like with Colin Duffy's climbing just sort of used a bit unnecessary power, but obviously that's his style. Maybe you're taking away something from this championships, just reviewing the footage. Colin Duffy really showed his American muscle through that route. Alberto maybe is a bit more of a sports car approach.
I've lost you here.
Alberto really fast up to this point on the route. Time doesn't really seem to have been a factor. Just shows he's got a really nice rhythm through this lower section.
So he's had no problem getting up to the second of those balls. As I say, this is the last time we will see this section of the lead wall in action here in Arco.
Alberto Hines Lopez then going into the roof section. He had the dream semi-final, the only climber to top that. Can he match it here and really do himself something really special on this barrel into the head wall? Pretty sizable crowd here in Arco. Does lead hands first. We saw that earlier as well, but looks really comfortable with it. Colin Duffy struggled with this clip. Let's see if Alberto pulls it over his right shoulder and gets it done quite smoothly, really. We saw Colin a couple of times cutting loose at this section here, but Alberto Hines Lopez really confident in the feet. Snaps a right toe hook straight behind that volume. Shaking up on section where other climbers have struggled. That's hold 43 now, looking a bit tired. The hands just open slightly.
Cut loose there, Alberto Hines Lopez. Back in control-ish now. Alberto got a real fight in his hands. Remember, he's got to at least attempt the move to the top and match Hidemasa Nishida, and he'll win on count back to the semi-final, but he can't do it, and Hidemasa Nishida is the youth world champion. Nobody could find a top, but Hidemasa Nishida got the closest. He went for the final hold and couldn't latch it. This is where we lost Alberto.
Yeah, he's got that really nice left toe hook. With this stage here, all of a sudden, as soon as he released it, just looks massively tired. Trying to pull, head was right back, and it was a good effort at the next crimp with the right hand, but it's a really bad hold. He just didn't seem to have the height on it. An absolutely epic male youth A lead final, thoroughly enjoyable and excellent endurance-based climbing. Really, really good show.
Yeah, good job by the route setters. All 8 climbers with a slightly different score, which is exactly what we want to see. And it is Hidemasa Nishida who wins it. Colin Duffy picks up a silver medal on his move into Youth A, and Alberto Hines Lopez has to settle for the bronze. Al Urakusa and Hamish MacArthur narrowly missing out on the podium. And then it was Paul Gem, Davide, Marco Colombo and Xander Waller. So we've got a short break, and then the female Youth A athletes will be introduced to the crowd, and we will speak to you shortly.
Right, here we are. Best the time to moving the seat from one corner to the other, and then we will start with the female youth A category. Console, sto finendo le batta del microfono, facciamo uno switchino, grazie. again with another presentation of the athlete. This time we are there for the female USA category. We have watched the male USA category. It's really a great show, and I want to say thank you to all the public in the stadium. You are really awesome, and the athlete can feel when everybody's cheering on. And so thank you for all your cheers, and that's going on in this way. So let's starting with the presentation of the athlete for that female youth A category. Starting from an athlete representing Austria, Jana
Welcome
Raut.
back to Arco. Female youth A climber is about to be introduced. I believe we've just had
Going on.
Jana Raut of Austria introduced to the crowd. I heard her being introduced. I assume she's out there somewhere.
18 different European Cup podium from Great Britain, Emily Phillips.
Here's, I believe when we get a shot anyway, that Emily Phillips again, I've just heard being introduced. Can't see her right now.
And then with an athlete that have already won in the European Cup series, and he won also the European Championship of 2000.
There they are.
Representing France, Camille Pouget.
Camille Pouget makes her way out. First of two French climbers in this final. Vanda Michalkova, sole Slovakian representative climbing tonight. Zoe Egli, very promising Swiss climber in a very strong Swiss team. Luce Duardi, a climber who the French have big hopes for and is already delivering on the senior stage, now has a chance in the Youth World Championship final. Natsumi Hirano, the only Japanese climber in this final. Nika Potapova of the Ukraine will climb last, having qualified first from the semi-final.
Fantastic lineup here in the female youth A category. They're going to be climbing on the far left-hand side of the arena here. Brilliant lineup. They're all seemingly so happy to be out there tonight. Just had a very quick run around the arena just to soak up some atmosphere, and it's great out there. A lot of people making the most of the hospitality tents, and really, really good vibes.
What you mean is you try to get to the gelato and back in time and realise when you heard the climbers being introduced that you didn't have time.
Don't forget I'm from England, so I was trying to find a fish and chip stall, but there doesn't seem to be any.
Alas. I believe there's a Salty Joe's in Riva del Garda. Maybe.
No. I did see a sushi shop earlier today, though, so just for old time's sake.
For old time's sake. Yeah, it's like last week all over again. Remember good old last week? They were the days. Jana Raut, Emily Phillips, Camille Pouget, Vanda Michalkova, Zoe Egli, Luce Duardi, Natsumi Hirano and Nika Potapova will be the climbers taking part. And we alluded to it earlier on. There's only two routes for us to study before we started our live stream, because female Youth A and juniors will climb on the same route.
The you see this a few times in the youth categories. It's usually actually sometimes towards the lower end, but yeah, the female youth A and the juniors seem to be really well matched in terms of their level. So in theory, maybe as the second final gets underway, we might see a slightly higher level of climber. But yeah, I think, you know, you've got World Cup climbers all the way through both categories. You know, Luz Douardi from France, who came out with a big smile on her face. She has made boulder, you know, really great boulder results this year.
Yeah, 5th in Vale was standout, obviously.
And yeah, even Emily Phillips has made semi-finals in bouldering. Natsuki Hirano, Asian champion. There's a lot of big names in the Youth A, and then just as you bring the next list up would be the juniors, and you got some, you know, future Olympians. Brooke Rabatou in there, Noah Dark, Laura Agora, lots of big names to come. So I think the level tonight is going to be an interesting one. Both categories on the same route. Makes it easy for us in some ways to kind of get a gauge of the actual style of the routes and the moves, individual subtleties of the moves. But this one here, about halfway up, I'm expecting a bit of a jump as well. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how they fare on that. Plenty of that I'm sure we'll see coming up very shortly, and hopefully we won't be seeing everybody falling at the bottom of the wall as per the semi-final round, especially in the Youth A category. It was a absolutely brutal semi-final route, and lots of climbers quite near the base of the wall. That wall that we're looking at there, actually, with the red and the yellow volumes that we just saw the men climbing on, that was the semi-final lines from earlier on.
Got a helicopter just buzzing over the venue. You might be able to hear through our microphones.
Which will be the athlete that will get
Not a radical increase in our filming budget, unrelated.
I thought that was your helicopter just popping in there to pick you up.
Yeah, where's my radio?
That would be
Come
nice.
back in 2 hours. So, yeah. Hopefully he heard me.
Yeah, Jeeves has got the wrong time. This is the good pan up the route then. This is the route that we'll be climbing for the next hour or so. This is the female A and the female junior category. 56 moves on this route. This is an absolute monster of a route. 55 moves was the longest in the semi-finals. Route has added one more move in for this final route, considering it's got a pretty decent sized jump in it as well, covering a nice little gap in the middle of the wall. That'll be coming up shortly. This section of the wall here, as the sort of big spear arrowhead works its way down the wall, you get this big sea of volumes all the way up the left side here. Loads of tick marks kind of from the route, so it's just showing where to go, and you can just about see two massive volcano footholds down and right. I'm reading that as a jump up to the base of that section of next black volumes, where there's a big ginormous green jug, and then really pushing into this mega steep stuff at the top of the wall.
Yeah, you can see it just gets steeper and steeper and steeper, and that is where they're headed. And as has been a recurring theme throughout the proceedings here in Arco, if you want to get the top, you will have to go for it.
Yeah, so many times in lead competitions we see a sort of big wanging jump at the top of the wall. It's a spectacular finish. We saw that yesterday in the men's competition. No tops today, unfortunately, so far, but two categories still to go. Opportunities here.
So Jana underway. 6 minutes for her, as for everyone else. Relatively minimalist look down low here.
Yeah.
Normally we see volumes everywhere these days on lead walls.
Yeah, it's a good point actually. Sort of volumes per metre ratio has gone up significantly in the last few years, but got to kind of feel like that's something to do with how busy the route setters have been over the last few days. They've got a very short amount of time to rebuild these lines after the semi-finals. But now she starts the big sea of volumes. Either that or they just used them all in the midsection, sort of as they were lowering down. Like, oh dear, I've run out of volumes. There's a big collection of volumes just coming up. Jana already pushing to hold 20, so super slick through this lower section. no obvious mistakes to be made there. I think the bottom of the route is quite easy, but considering, all in relative terms anyway, considering that it's 56 moves to the top.
Now the volumes begin to appear. Jana Rin's having to go to these moves. You can see the feet kind of bicycling underneath her.
Yeah, she's gritting her teeth quite a lot here. She's pumped out really early all of a sudden.
Oh, I was just trying to wrap the left-hand edge of that volume. So that's our first look at the route, and she looks up as if to say, that was hard.
Yeah, it was a good battle. As soon as she went through that slightly awkward route, holds 18 and 19 started to pump out a little bit. Let's have another look here. Just matched up on hold 24 there, going to the edge of the next triangle. There's a hold on that, but it's right around the corner, and she was really low on it. Right arm was in, sort of really doubled over and just couldn't quite get the height to reach around for hold 26. So potentially the route setters suggesting there's a slightly different method available there.
So there you see it, 26 for her. Emily Phillips next out, and then Camille Pouget. Emily Phillips now.
Emily Phillips really the rising star in the British female game at the moment. Lots of good results to her name. Great to see her through the finals. After the semi-finals, as she lowered down, she really didn't look happy with her performance. But at that time, she didn't know that many climbers had actually fallen in similar areas on the wall. Got through to the final here, scraped through. It was on count back, considering there's a big tie on her score. Scored 26 plus with Jana, so maybe she can go one better. That was in the semi-finals earlier, so she'll be looking to kind of step it up a gear here, Emily.
Obviously, in theory, we've got the strongest climbers coming last, but also in theory, we've got the better climbers, or certainly the older climbers, I should say, coming in the second final. So I think if we were to see a top in this Youth A final, strong as it is, we might be slightly concerned. So just to let you know, I think we'll see. We certainly should see, because they're younger, we should see lower average score in this Youth A final than in the juniors. May not be how it pans out. Let's find out.
Emily Phillips now living in Sheffield, kind of the climbing mecca in the UK, training hard up there.
Yeah, that is generally where pro climbers end up in the United Kingdom. Emily Phillips, as you say, is living up there now.
Looks like this lower section is not as easy as I was initially expecting, just based on some of the chat with the route setters. Kind of cranks up a gear really quickly through this roof. Knee bar on the right leg as she holds hold number 20.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Mike, it's not ideal.
Yeah, just got a little overstretched on the clip.
It's really awkward clipping a quick draw when you're absolutely at full reach. You haven't got your wrists to help you out, or you can basically only use your fingertips.
That's the sequence the route setters intending, so that was our new high point. Let's hold 25 now. All the way out to 27, looking a bit tired in the left arm all of a sudden. Having to breathe quite hard here as it gets a bit more funky with this next section of volumes. She's got to dig in now, Emily.
Teeth gritted. Holds up there somewhere, I think. There it is. Emily Phillips looking really tired here as she goes out right. Manages to almost get the heel hook in place. Bit of a desperate slap with the left hand. She'll try and go again with the left hand, and now she'll head out right across these big green blobs.
Yeah, ideally the route setters want you a bit higher up the wall there. They're intended as footholds, those big green blobs. It's a slight undercut quite a bit higher up. Where her right hand is, there's no score at all. It's a good final battle there for Emily. Just powered out early on in the volumes, but managed to scrape a few more moves together, and she actually went quite far out right before heading left, which means that she actually skipped a few holds and potentially got herself a pretty decent score for around hold 32, 33, somewhere in that region. It's a really cryptic section of volumes there, as well as tick marks all over the place. It's quite hard for the climbers really to read what's going on and see the fight that Emily put in there. Is super pumped. She's really breathing heavily.
It's one thing that it feels like we see a little bit more in Youth World Championship versus senior events, is climbers kind of skipping out sequences or going round things, or not quite understanding which are footholds and which are handholds. I think it's just an experience thing, but that was a really good scrap from Emily. You can see her standing on the volume where we lost Jana.
Yeah, at that point there, she was just trying to sort of flick a heel up to the right hand, one of those two giant volcanoes, just trying to find a position where she can hoik herself up into the two undercuts. Looking forward to seeing further climbers get into that position. Emily Phillips given an interesting score there, 33.6 plus. Not sure what that's quite about.
I have to say that is a first. 33.6 plus. Very specific judging. Can only assume that is a finger slipping when going to press number 5.
Yeah, really, maybe a climber's fingers, just really fat fingers, and just.
Yeah, they asked the route setter to press 5. That's the problem. Big lad, press 5 for me. Camille Pouget climbing now. Yeah, that's definitely a first. I didn't know that. I assume that means the entry system for the numbers must be completely manual. I don't know. I haven't actually seen a judge's tablet close up either way.
Either that or the computer's just melted in the humidity here.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. Keyboard's just one big soggy mess.
Pouget then slightly steadier through this lower section. We'll see what Emily Phillips' score gets updated to eventually, but it's a really tough one to judge there. The route map is actually really busy around that section of volumes. The route set has not made the judges' life particularly easy, but let's just focus on the action for now. I'm sure they'll get that sorted and we will be informed in due course.
Yeah, Camille Pouget just about to pull over onto the first of the black volumes. As I say, it does seem to be something we see a little bit more in these youth competitions, that the judges have got to work a little bit harder. Climbers don't necessarily follow the order. The route setters provide a route map to the judges and say, here are the handholds we think they'll use. This is the order they'll use them in. If they get to this one, that's their score. But it feels like in the youth, yeah, the climbers kind of jump around a little bit and misread sequences, and the judges have got to think a little bit more about what score to give.
Yeah, that's the first really hard move that really seems to start emptying the fuel tank there for Camille Pouget. She pulls over the lip. That hole going up to hole 20 at the base of the volume that she's currently on, it really gets super punchy all of a sudden. And just on that, Charlie would say that route setters really think about the reach between the different moves for the youth competition. So sometimes you see holds a lot closer together than you would normally for a senior level event. That's why the sequences can get confused quite easily, especially the varying heights of the athletes. Some of these guys, they are still growing. The heights do vary significantly. Camille Pouget has got to put a bit of a scrap in now. She's on hole 27 at the moment. It's that section of 4 volumes. Let's see what sequence she ends up using. Emily Phillips from that point there went all the way out to the small hold on the corner. Camille really looking around, not quite sure what to do. Just boffs into the underside of that volume with her left hand and goes out right, so she will come up slightly lower than Emily Phillips there.
Climbers are not climbing for long here. I'm just looking at the times. No one yet been on the wall for 3 minutes.
This is that section of volumes, and she was just trying to get on the underside of that volume, didn't quite get it high enough, so was really trying to wrist wrap it underneath and then just slapping out. Emily Phillips went out to that right hand hold on the right a little bit earlier than a Camille Peugeot there. So, yeah, I wonder if we have any slightly other bizarre scores. So it's still showing as a 33.6 plus.
People think lead's complicated. Camille Peugeot, second place for her right now. Vanda Mikhalkova, next climber out. As I say, Vanda, something of a regular in the commentary box. Had her in here 3 or 4 times. As Camille Peugeot finds her seat next to Emily Phillips. Yeah, but good to see Vanda on the wall. Camille Peugeot looking up, slightly confused, is it almost? So Vanda underway, her 6 minutes begins. I have to say, nobody yet has really been anywhere near getting timed out. So 26, Jana score right now, so anything above that would put Vanda Mikhalkova on the provisional podium.
Just had a quick chat with the judging team down the front, and I think they were a little bit surprised when I pointed out the 0.6 plus to them rather than the 0.5, so I imagine we'll see that changing. Tough job down the front. It's pretty hectic down there, I have to say.
That's why we love Italy. It's just hectic.
A lot of people just shouting at each other.
Yeah. Great fun. Fair to say it's quite a contrast to go from Japan to Italy in terms of how things are organised. Vanda now, it's Mike just getting more things explained to him. He's really logging up the miles here today, Mike. See, just about to pierce through the roof, and then she'll be onto the volumes. You can see she's just about to come up to that first really hard move. Does not forget the clip, crucially. I think choosing to get the clip done earlier. Mike, I was just saying you've had more information explained to you.
Yeah, I've learned something, so I'm pleased I've come to work today. So Emily Phillips, there was a whole bunch of intermediates that weren't scored by the route setting team. So in theory, if it was just one intermediate that wasn't used and the climber ends up using it, it becomes a 0.5, half a move more than the intended sequence. But in theory, if there's more than half a move that's unintended by the route setters, it become multiple points. So it could be a point 1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6 in theory if more than 1 point arrives. So you end up with multiple half scores, which you can't just give multiple half scores. So they've gone for a 0.6. So in theory, that does make sense. But I think they, one of the judges here is saying they probably will just drop it down to a 0.5, just a standard one move too many. Yeah, if you really want to geek out, send me a message. I'll explain that properly, because we really want to focus on Vanda for now.
You can see the big green volumes that Emily Phillips was heading out towards. I've actually got a pretty good hand on.
Yeah, we're imagining Vanda, if she gets there, she'll be heading with a sort of high heel hook and heading right up to that next quick draw, potentially before going under to the undercut. But this is sort of where the complications, especially for the judging team, arrive.
Again, she chooses to go outright. So those big green volumes looking tired now. You can see the way her shoulders are rolling out. Oh, and suddenly, as with just about everyone we've seen there, got tired seemingly pretty quickly. Mike, any... she just gets dropped. Didn't quite get the coordination right with the B-layer.
If I understand this correctly, the hold that she's got there on that volume is hold 32 and 33. Then you've got the two ginormous volcanoes, which are intended as footholds that have no score, before a undercut up and right, which is hold 34. Now normally, that's why Emily Phillips ended up with a 33.6, because she really was using those two volcanoes as two intermediates that have got no scores. Interesting development in the scores, and always kept on your toes here at the IFSC. And Wim Verhoeven, one of the chiefs here, has given us a good insight as to that ruling.
And now we've got 33.3.
Yes, because there's two intermediates that have gone for a 0.3 and a 0.6 as a way of explaining it, rather than if it was just one intermediate, it would be a 0.5. That's one intermediate that doesn't have a score from the route setting team. So the sequence is developing slightly in a different way to what they expected. So there we are. I mean,
yeah.
it could be a 4 and an 8, or it could be a 1 and a 2. You know, it's just two numbers that are in between the previous two numbers. So it's a decimals in between 33 and 34, and there needs to be two of them.
There you have it.
Absolute clear as mud.
Exactly.
Feel a little bit
That's
sorry
like
for some of those people in the audience.
That's what I like about you, Mike. Just absolute clarity, you know.
Well, I mean, it took two judges to come over and explain it, because the first one didn't understand. So I think we're doing all right.
No, you're doing exceptionally well. It's not something I was aware of, and if that does end up being the final score, perhaps someone who's been watching the IFSC since time began and has an exceptionally good memory, can you tell us if anyone has ever lost a title by 0.3 plus of a move?
Yeah.
Zoe Egley's
Half of a
one
half
now.
score.
Yeah, third of a score and a plus. Third and a plus.
I like it. I like being challenged on the rules.
Oh, I like that as well, though. Little Swiss cross on a right thumbnail.
So hopefully Zoe will be getting up into that sequence quite soon, and let's see where her right hand starts to travel around, and we'll see if we can explain a little bit more about this ruling.
Zoe Egley now just getting into a position that's looking increasingly familiar. He comes slapping up round this overhang, and then it's a really hard move up with the left.
Just searching for that right hand a little bit, the big wrist wrap on the underside of that roof. It's coming up now, this first left hand move up through the angle change, the left leg comes up. This is a real powerful punchy move that a few athletes have got through, but just struggled a little bit to just lean into it in the end. There wasn't anything for the left foot through that section. So just as she clips this next quick draw, you can start to see those two unscored holds, the big volcanoes. Each of those is now worth a score.
Employs the heel hook well, but the problem is, as you pull towards it, unless you are exceptionally, freakishly flexible, it does kind of push you away from the wall.
Yeah, she's searching for all the options here. That's a really bad left heel and falls off. She was looking super pumped all of a sudden.
You called it, Mike. It was a bad left heel, and it just popped at the crucial moment.
see she was just really searching around for all the different options to take some weight off the hands, had the clip in her mind, but also wanted to try and find a sequence to go further through. This is the left heel. At this point here, she was in desperate trouble. You can see how the left hand's really not doing anything at that stage. Thought about clipping, thought about going up, and in the end, unfortunately, the left heel did go. Maybe she should have stuck with that initial right heel.
There you can see 24 for her. So again, good job. We haven't had anyone scoring the same as one of their competitors yet this evening. Luce Duardi in a strong field. She is perhaps the most promising of the French youngsters, certainly up there. If you're one of the best climbers in France, that really is saying something. There are some countries where it wouldn't be such a big label, but yeah, as I say, France packed with good climbers, and Luce Duardi, one of the very best.
Yeah, not in just route climbing either though, bouldering and speed climbing. They've got the full outfit, the French team. I'm sure we're going to see more than one climber through to the Olympic qualification slots as well. Luce Duardi, interesting starting little routine there, just a quick head down, almost a prey to the wall, and then just swing the arms and get on with it. See that from her in the bouldering as well. Quick start here from Luce. She's going to know this wall really inside out now. Had the qualification routes, had semi-finals, so the route sets would have put them on all the different angles now.
Climbing pretty quickly here, Luce Duardi.
See if she can get through this tricky roof section, just go for it in a really sort of slightly high risk, powerful way. See how she gets on with this little punchy move, just rocks into it almost statically. That was really nice. Seen a few climbers struggle that move early on in the final here in the Youth A, and she just really lent into that one. That was nice. Now let's get into this next section. Bit of a cut loose there. So Zoe Egley just struggling with that next move. Quick look at the crowd there for some reason. Now we're back with Luce. Struggling with the clip a little bit, it's a little bit twisted, but now gets it done.
Yeah, you can see where she needs to get to.
Thought about going for the clip, but ends up just resting a little bit more. Maybe we should go one more move. She may not quite be able to reach the clip though. Let's see what she decides to do. Again, just considering what Stu has got the clip. Now Luce Duardi into the cruxy high point position at the moment. Let's see what sequence she goes for. Let's hold 32 at the moment. She comes into the edge of that volume. It will be 33. Looks like she's got a bit of a knee bar. Good clipping position from Luce Duardi.
Yeah, can she find a way to punch through to a new high point?
Let's hold 33 at the moment. Goes straight into hill. That's what the route set is intended. That's hold 34 and a new high point. Doesn't use any of the new intermediate holds.
So Luce Duardi now just
lines up the jump.
Oh, about to line up for the jump and executes it perfectly. So she'll already be on the podium because she's got a new high point with 2 climbers still to come. So already guaranteed herself a medal. Question now is what colour it will be. Showboating to the crowd slightly there. Actually stuck her tongue out as she looked at the crowd a second ago. Now gets the game face back on. And begins motoring again after a break.
Double hill, she'll know that she's done really well clearly from the response from the crowd, but now it's about trying to put yourself in a position that's going to be hard to beat. Two climbers, Natsumi Hirano and Nika Potapova, still to come, two very talented athletes. So Liz Tuwali will just use this rest for absolutely everything it's worth off the double hills. She'll probably just run down the clock really far because she knows she's not got much left in the tank. What a resting position that is, high up on the Arco walls. The view from up there must be extraordinary now she pushes through.
Yeah, Luz Tuwadi just making herself harder and harder to beat with every move here, and I have to say she doesn't look that tired. Movement's ever so slightly jerky. Oh, suddenly she looks tired. Slapping up with that left hand and went to the volume with the right and couldn't quite hang on to it.
Brilliant effort from Luosti, 42 plus should be her score there by my reckoning, heading up to that big volcano, and a couple of really bad crimps in the wall. I think she's going to be pretty psyched with that as a performance.
Yes, fantastic performance from her. Almost 10 moves clear of everyone else. It is a 42 plus. Only 2 climbers to go. As I say, she already knows she'll be on the podium. This was the jump.
No hesitation on the jump at all, just one quick bounce, set it, and then just fired it off. It's so important at this level when you're that pumped. It's really not to hesitate on the jump. Show it no fear, and just go straight into it with a big smile. Hopefully the camera guys have got a good shot of that. That's a horrendous hold 42, that left hand crimp, and a level of accuracy needed to get to that next pocket.
So she'll be taking home a Youth World Championship medal. Doesn't know what colour it will be. Camille Pouget, the first to congratulate her. Natsumi Hirano will be climbing next.
Not 100% sure who that is, but it's got to be close friends or family because they look pretty stressed at the top of that route. There you can see the scores. Luz Tuwadi 42 plus leads the way. 56 moves on this one, so a fair way to go still. You can see where she was on the wall, just at the top of those 3 arrowhead volumes, about 2/3 of the height.
Here's Natsumi Hirano. I was trying to remember off the top of my head which World Cup final it was she appeared in. I've consulted my notes and it was Cran last September, which is actually the next World Cup coming up this year. So as I say, former World Cup finalist. And she wasn't too far off in Villar and Briançon, 10th and 11th respectively in those 2 World Cups this year.
For sure, the action of Luz before was a successful action that put her.
Very slight fumble of the quick draw there for Natsumi. To see the friends looking on, just wasn't completely convinced with that. She thought the quick draw was facing around the other way, but she got it sorted in the end.
This move and brilliant action of Natsumi till now.
Already turning the angle change to hold 20.
Yeah, very casual so far, but that's again a hard move. Did quite well actually, just to push her left hip on.
Yeah, just use a bit of skin friction on the wall, just really lean the left hip and the right forearm onto the volume.
She's totally in control.
Lean into that left hand.
Come on, Natsumi.
Suki looking pretty relaxed at this stage. Hard moves will really begin to kick in now, though.
We can see how she will decide to read this sequence, which
I feel like if she gets through this next tricky sequence through these volcanoes in the into the jump, she could be on for a new high point, potentially looking really solid up to this moment on the route.
Yeah, I have to say the jump did not look easy though. We sometimes see jumps in lead routes that are more just to play with the climbers' heads a little bit, but this one genuinely looks a long way.
Hold 34 is the undercut that surely she's going to go to. It looks like she's eyeing up hold 35, which is the one above. So she's currently one move above, but that does make sense for her. Now drops down to the undercut and lines up the jump. Easily nails it.
Perhaps it doesn't look that far after all.
get inside the situation.
This is where we saw loose to RD with double heels. Looked like Natsumi Hirano is just using double toes. A really big ledge. Ganba coming from the Japanese supporters and crew. Still looks like she's going really well. She starts to pick up the speed a little bit here from Natsumi.
That's actually a really good shot because you can see the volcano that Loose Duardi was heading for.
It's holding 42 then, so she goes to this next hold, which she does. That's a new high point. Puts herself in a silver medal at least position that goes into the current gold medal position.
Yeah, only Nika Potapova to come after Natsumi Hirano. Still going well. I think finally beginning to look a little tired.
Interesting sequence of pockets just to come through now, walking the feet through, good left foot down and quite a long way left. She was considering the clip there for a second, now gets it done.
Yeah, this high point is getting further and further away.
Already on hold 52, she's getting really close to the top here, 56.
Could we see a top in Youth A? Just see a bit of a grimace, but this is an exceptionally strong performance. Would put Nika Potapova under real pressure here. Oh, just couldn't quite find that left hand. Was only one move away from attempting the slap from the top. Really strong performance. As Mike said, will get at least silver, could get gold.
Have a great job here from the Route 10 team. Looked like the route might be quite cryptic lower down, but it's really starting to open up now. Two climbers through this nice little jump in the middle of the wall. Big air time. That's right at the top of the wall there, just showing immense flexibility. She's just trying to find something for her left foot to try and move out to that left volume there. That was hold 55 that she was heading out to there, so that should be a 54 plus. Good effort there from Natsumi. I think that's going to be hard to beat.
Another clap for Natsumi.
Yeah, I mean, basically, you've got to top the route to get much better than that. Nika Potapova does have the advantage from the semi-final if it came down to countback.
But let's go on with another superb athlete from Ukraine, Nika Potapova.
Nika Potapova, the next climber, the final climber. Try her luck on the wall. Just thinking things through. Winner of the most recent European Youth Cup in Imst. And that is a big long wall. So these longer routes clearly suiting her style. Already run a European Youth Cup in Boulder as well this year. So a genuine all-rounder. Here she goes. So she's on this A fairly bare looking section low down, not many volumes, not many holds, pretty straightforward sequence.
Yeah, to say some new holds I've not seen before as well actually. Just those 3 long snake sort of caterpillars low down. Good to see some new shapes coming out here for the Youth World Championships.
So she's safely negotiated the lower section. Doesn't seem to have had any issues. And it's very clear that once you pull above the lip, that's where the root really, really kicks in. It doesn't seem to let off much at all. Got to save some energy for the jump.
Come on, Ika.
There's that slightly awkward looking move. It's not that often you do a move like that over a lip with no left foot, or no foothold for the other foot, I should say. Nice little cut loose from Nico there. We've seen that from a few athletes now. She goes for that right foot option that we saw from Zoe. See what she makes of this section of volumes then, just drilling that left foot. Just comes up short, just missed it. It was blocked by the back of the wall. That little heart in the mouth moment there for Nika.
What can she figure out through these volumes? It caused the judges 1 or 2 headaches earlier on.
Let's see if she goes low, or will she go high? Luz Tuadi went low. Natsumi Hirano went high.
I think she's going high.
Now lines up the jump. Quick look, sets the feet.
Has a couple of bounces just to line up for it. Gets it done. So everyone who's attempted the jump has actually done it, but it hasn't looked like a gimme by any means.
Looks like she's just going to reverse slightly into this rest, get 2 hands back on the ledge, and goes for the double heels that we saw from Luz Tuadi. Again, Natsumi just used the 2 toe hooks instead.
Has a quick look at the clock, which might be sensible, and I think was relieved by what she saw, because she's basically taking a pretty long break now.
Starting to push into the head wall now then. What can she find up here? Let's hold 41.
Remember, she's more or less got to get to the final move before she would win the competition. That's her into second. That was the move that stopped Luz Tuadi.
Really wise to clip off that volcano. Does just fumble it a little bit though.
So it's going to be second at worst for Nika. Luz Tuadi will take bronze.
Still pushing here, but looking pretty pumped. It's a tricky little cross-through section on these 2 pockets now.
She definitely is looking pumped.
Yeah, already up to hold 49. Next hold's 50. Just about snares it.
So much riding on these moves here. You can see the grimace on her face. 54 plus the high point as it stands. Final quick draw before the top is clipped.
Look at that for a resting position. What a position to be in, the big box splits.
Here she gets going again. Launches out right.
Let's hold 54, and it's a 54 plus also.
Yeah, pretty sure that'll be a 54 plus, and that will win her the competition on countback. Of course, we have to wait for the judges to make their decision, but I agree with you, Mike. I think she fell on on the same move as Natsumi Hirano will get the same score as Natsumi Hirano, and therefore will win on countback to an excellent performance in the semi-final.
We will wait for the official scores, but that looked like an epic battle at the top of the wall there. Tell you what, she really did look flamed quite low down and still managed to keep it going. The hugs are all coming in. Fellow competitors think that Nika Potapova from Ukraine has done it.
The judges do as well, 54 plus, same score as Natsumi, and it's countback that does it. Really fantastic performance.
Hard for Natsumi Hirano to be really pleased for her. Unfortunately, you know, it's so close at the top of the wall. I mean, there's such great competitors this lot, and it did come down to count back to the semi-final round, and it shows every single round of the competition you've got to give it the maximum.
Very impressive as well. See the other competitors come straight over to congratulate her. It's great sportsmanship. There's Yoshiyuki Ogata on the left.
Amazing.
World Cup winner.
And so make the last clap for Nika Potapova.
Nika Potapova receives the applause of the crowd. She is the Youth World Champion. Second one we've crowned this evening. Japan almost picked up their second gold. And there it is. Same score as Natsumi in countback. Puts her on top. Natsumi ends up second. Luce Duardi picks up third. Emily Phillips narrowly misses out. And Vanda Mikokova fifth. Camille Pouget sixth. Iana Routh in seventh. And Zoe Egley in eighth. Same route will be used for the juniors. We will speak to you in a moment's time when the climbers are introduced for the junior final.
Alright, now here we are. We can start with the presentation of the fleet for the female juniors category. Alright. Now here we are with the last final of the day. The final juniors fleet. So let's start with the introduction of the girl who got the ticket for the final. First one athlete that already got a win in the European Cup Series, representing Austria.
Welcome back to Arco. You can
Pozzi.
see Shuta Tanaka on the far right of your screen there. He's already won his Youth World Championship this week. As I say, Yoshiyuki Ogata looks like he's having the time of his life.
Got a beautiful second place in Bale for
Team
women.
Mexico.
Representing USA, Natalia Grossman.
We already had Matea Puzzi introduced to the crowd. There she is on the right. Natalia Grossman joins her. Yuka Hikuji, next climber out. Lucia Dorfel of Germany, fourth climber on the wall today. As ever, climbers coming in reverse order to how they qualified from the semi-final. No ties on this one, so we have got semi-final or qualifying countback to go to should we need it. And Aliska Adamovska, fifth climber. Brooke Rabatu, future Olympian Brooke Rabatu, found what she needed in Hachioji, first American to qualify for climbing's first Olympics. Nolwenn Arc in her last Youth World Championships. Laura Rigora, as you would expect, getting the big introduction to the crowd. 18 years old from Rome. She's ready to go. So they are the 8 climbers who will contest it this evening. It's an exceptionally strong category, this, and they're climbing on the same route as the Youth A climbers.
Climbers just briefly head back to the isolation zone. You can see it, Mattia Bozzi will be the first athlete out. Certainly looking forward to this one. This is a real heavy hitters final. Absolutely honoured to be able to watch such athletes in the Youth World Championships.
There you can see it, Mattia Bozzi will be first out, then Natalia Grossman, Yuka Higuchi, Lucia Dofel, Aliska Adamovska, Brooke Rabatu, Nolwenn Arc and Laura Rigora. So one more final to go in the lead, and then suddenly it's all over this Youth World Championship lead.
There you can see the line right in the centre of the screen. Right up the sort of middle blunterette feature after the first capping roof. All the way up, snaking up towards the right with that jump and then back left and turning the corner. We've seen one climber, two climbers, 2 moves from the top already tonight. The female Youth A. What is the chance we'll see a top in the female junior category? So using the same route, and this is going to be quite interesting. Different age category, same route, gives you a bit of an insight into the future. All of those from 2003 all the way through to 2000 now, 2001 to those born in 2001 and 2000 for the female junior category. Youth A that we just saw was 2002 and 2003. So let's see what difference a couple of years makes in terms of age and power. Ruto will be looking on slightly nervously now. Older category, 2 climbers already close to the top, but very, very talented athletes in that Youth A field. Looking forward to the speed climbing. See the official speed wall in the middle of the arena here. Looking forward to that starting tomorrow.
We've got lots of action coming up for you. Tomorrow we have no live streaming for you. Tomorrow, Monday. A pity the officials of this one, by the way. Tomorrow they've got to deal with bouldering qualification junior men, bouldering qualification Youth B men, speed practice and qualification Youth A men, and so on and so forth. By my calculations, 7 categories participating across 2 disciplines. So busy day for the officials tomorrow, but no live streaming. But then we're back on Tuesday, 3 p.m. bouldering semi-finals for junior men and Youth B women. And then we've got, as Mike said, 3 speed finals on Tuesday evening: Junior Women, Youth A Women and Youth A Men. And it just keeps on coming from there on out.
Mattia Pozzi then, first climber in this junior category with no all the way up through up until that first roof around hole 19-20. Climbs pretty quickly, but pretty basic as well. Route's trying to make sure that they tire the climbers out a little bit in the initial section, but definitely don't confuse them or hopefully have them in danger of falling off near the base of the wall. Very dissimilar to what we saw in the semi-final round. Really hard boulder problem right near hole number 8 in the semi-final round. Quite a few casualties really early on from some of the best athletes in that semi-final as well. This route quite familiar to us now. If you have just joined us, this is the same route that we had in the female youth category.
Yeah, and it's very clear that this is where it really begins to get going. Mattia Pozzi, the only Austrian in the final this evening. Japan and Ukraine who've taken the 2 gold medals so far. Can Austria add one to their collection?
I would have thought with the Austrian team set up now with those immense facilities in Innsbruck, they would like to see more of the young climbers making finals more often. See the effect of the facilities on the results of the team. If you can't get good there, then you can't get good, I would say. Questioning the sequencing here. We saw this earlier in the Youth A category. So a couple of interesting hill hooks. Just trying to decide on a method here. Just looking pretty tired already. Mattia just not 100% sure what to do with the feet. It's a slightly confusing sequence.
It's very clear that you don't have a lot of decision time on this route, and we lose her relatively early. Pretty sure that will be surpassed as a high point. Might be a little frustrated as she watches climbers demonstrate that sequence, perhaps.
Yeah, it just seems to be a little bit unsure as to which hands you go with up to the volumes, and it's a little bit hidden, the holds up there. You can see there's loads of tick marks. I've seen most climbers manage to roll over with the right hand to that small edge on the far right hand side of that next black volume, but she just tried to punch again with the left hand up to the one of those ticked volumes, but just came up way too short, unfortunately, from Mattia Pozzi. First climber out, falling relatively low on the route. 24 plus is the score.
Yeah, so that would have got a 7th in Youth A, but it just makes you realise how closely matched these 2 categories are. Natalia Grossman comes out, I think as well, we mustn't read too much into categories. If you were born on the 1st of January 2002, you'd be competing in Youth A. If you were born the day before, you'd be in juniors. So whenever climbers are categorised by age, and here at the IFSC we do it by birth year, you can't read too much into it. Obviously there could be almost a 4-year discrepancy, but there might be a 1-hour discrepancy in ages.
Yeah.
So it's not an exact science.
Such is the savage nature of this youth climbing competitions. Just which category you end up falling into. Interesting to know what the smallest amount of time is between someone being in one category or being in the other. It could be a second. if the doctors were watching closely.
Yeah, it literally could be when the doctor glances at the clock, decides which category you're in, but there's no doubt that they're very evenly matched. Natalia Grossman in that younger half of the junior category, born in 2001. And of think just reacting to some of the MC might have said there. Can't say I caught it. But it's been going well, Natalia Grossman. 24 plus got it into the semi-final.
One interesting thing, Charlie, about using the same route for 2 finals is potentially you've got 16 climbers on the same route. Normally in the semi-final, the route will be cleaned after the 13th climber due to the conditions. So you do wonder if the conditions may start to deteriorate. I'm just looking at some of these pinches lower down, real big build-up of chalk there. But so that we did see in the combined World Championships, now that the route doesn't get cleaned with 20 climbers. So the conditions, questions about conditions, and climbers love to talk about such things. So yeah, that's one to have a think about when you're sharing the same route.
Come on, girl.
Interest here is kind of keep momentum going for these finals, keep the crowd going, keep everybody psyched. So didn't stop for a cleaning break in between the finals. Again, this next sequence just causing a little bit of confusion.
Come on. Come on. Come on.
So 24 plus. High point set by Mattia Putzi. Got to get that quick draw clipped. Times it well as it swings back towards her.
Come on.
Yeah, come on. Let's go, bud.
Professional lead here for Natalia. Let's see what she makes of this next volume sequence. We've seen 2 really successful methods through into the jumping footholds. That's the big volcanoes you can see out to the right, and we have seen adjusted scores through there as well based on how the climbers get on with those moves compared to what the route says intended. Let's see what she goes for. Goes for a high foot. It's looking good here for Natalia Grossman. Not happy with the right heel, only uses it to put up there to shake out the hands. Now she uses, that would be a 33.3 plus.
0.6.
That's the first of the intermediates that isn't scored, but it is now. Not an issue for the judges though, because she has moved into hole 34, this right hand undercut.
Let's go.
Yeah, so the judges might breathe a sigh of relief as she launches. Ooh, and just makes the jump. Looked like the rope might have been slightly tight there, could have been dragging.
Yeah, it did look like there was a slight drag on that, just as she was bouncing for the first move. It must be a slightly nervy situation for the belayer being offered a jump like that on the route. They really have to give the right amount of rope, and they don't want to have somebody have a backswing and get tight roped as well. So, and they certainly don't want to give someone a massive whipper down the wall, especially at this age.
I'm always impressed at how well the belayers do. It's so rare it's of any consequence of belaying.
Looking really pumped in the right arm as she goes up.
Suddenly just lose it.
So good effort, first climber through the jump here in the female junior category. I belayed a World Cup final once. It was absolutely terrifying. I've judged, I've belayed. Belays was the worst experience of my life. Final climber out, belaying, it was absolutely terrifying. It was brilliant.
That was Natalia Grossman on the jump. Who was it you belayed?
I was so focused on not decking them. It was, yeah, it's hard to remember now, but it was a very valuable experience.
This was Natalia. Sadly just climbed out of our shot. Go on, Mr. Cameraman, a little bit higher out there. See there, 40 plus for Natalia Grossman.
Right, here we are. So we can going on with the
Just comparing notes. Back down on the floor.
Japan, Yuka Higuchi.
Yuka Higuchi, next climber to come out. So she gets underway. Third climber, 5 to come after her. Lucia Durfel, Aliska Adamovska, Brooke Rabatu, Nolwenn Arc and Laura Agora. I think most people looking on be expecting it to come down to those final 3. But Yuka Higuchi had a good semi-final and a good qualifying as well.
Very familiar lower section now through these big long pinches. Luckily haven't seen anybody struggle on this first section, but as soon as the small roof comes, the angle changes and it really kicks in all of a sudden, this route. I think the route set's been relatively kind at the bottom of the wall, but then from there on up it's pretty hard going. Route set's really aware of the amount of time, the 6 minutes here. All over 18 meters tall, very high for a lead World Cup standards nowadays, so route really need to get through those lower sections without running too much time down on the clock. And Yuka absolutely flying through this lower section. Now the angle changes and all of a sudden you can see the difficulty of the moves really just kicks up a notch.
Yeah, you can see the light just beginning to change here in Arco. It's still humid though, still warm, but perhaps cooling off slightly for the junior final. This is what we had for the female Youth A. Choosing to take quite a long rest before launching into this. Has clearly correctly read that what lies above is tricky to say the least.
Yeah, just checks the time as well, seeing how much of a rest she should take. There's that awkward move, just sags a little bit as she hit the left hand. We had to wrap the thumb pretty hard there on that pinch for the left hand. Little mascot hanging off the chalk bag there as well. Not questioning her sequence at all through that right hand crossover there for Yuka. Really nice little deep drop knee on the right leg just to get into a semi-rest position.
It's definitely climbing this route slower than anyone else, but that's not necessarily a bad thing.
See how she gets on this next cryptic section of volumes.
Like it when we get a close-up like that and you realise just how bad a hold is at this level.
Yeah, it's easy to think, oh, she's climbing the routes aren't as hard as you may expect, but trust me, they're absolutely brutal, these lines.
Yeah, the semi-finals for these 3 categories we've seen this evening were savage earlier on. Replays on YouTube.
A little bit stretched on that left arm now, and does fire up to the right. We saw that earlier in the Youth A competition. She gets stretched on that undercut volume. Really struggled to fire up and right. I think she's going to be bitterly disappointed with that. There's the stretch. She's got the left heel really pinned. Just as she goes right, the camera bleaches out a little bit, but just yeah, got really stretched on the left-hand undercut whilst holding a left heel, and unfortunately from that position she couldn't move. Still moves into provisional second place though, 31 plus.
Another clap from Yuka Higuchi.
Higuchi gets a final round of applause. You can see she goes up with the right hand. I think just missed it actually.
Right, now we are with the 4th athlete of the list. Really curious what we're going on with the next 5 athletes. That's good. But the next one, representing Germany, Lucia Durfel.
Lucia Durfel now of Germany, the next climber out, the 4th climber out, will be halfway through this final. By the time she is done, it's coming and going very quickly. big performance, could easily move someone onto the podium here.
Alright, we're talking about German athletes, and we know that all the German athletes always super representation of
First and only German athlete represented here tonight in this set of 3 finals. Big team here though, so I'm sure they'll be giving her plenty of support in the crowd.
She's again slightly like Yuka Higuchi, relatively slow.
Just the first real move off that left hand crimp that really starts to engage the full body, at which point you think, right, I'm in a World Championship final all of a sudden. That's how hard you expect the moves to be. Really got to turn on at that point there.
That looks slightly touch and go, the big slap up to the nub of that volume.
This big volume section with these additional screw-ons really testing the climber's pinch strength, and just slips, big left foot slips, somehow reels it in on that crimp. Big nervous moment there.
Still not quite sure how she managed to do that.
It's going to have taken out a huge amount of power out the arm, right arm especially though, unfortunately.
Yeah, right arm suddenly looks pumped. You can see her elbow really sticking out. Needs to try and find a way of getting something back. Hopefully she can try and lean on those green volumes possibly. We've seen climbers kind of generating a bit of a rest over there. I think she'll probably need it.
This is how quickly things can go wrong at a route of this level. She's keeping it together though. Just looking for something for the left heel. Got a nice little toe lock in there though. Now establishes up into the undercuts. Still looking pretty calm. Oh, and a superb little heel toe lock on the left foot again between these volumes. She's got to release it now to get into the jump. It's a pretty bad position to try and rest in. Got to push on.
Here she goes for the jump. Manages to stick it. She's one of the taller climbers in this final. And it looked a little bit closer for her than it has for some others.
Yeah, opts not to rest and push it straight through. She's just trying to get points in the bag now.
Choosing to leave that clip behind. Goes up to try and secure the plus, I think. Knew that game was up. Looked difficult for her as soon as her feet cut loose earlier down, but she did well to get up to and then through the jump.
Yeah, this is the setup for the jump, yeah. Like essentially just to even get to that stage was pretty impressive after that big swing, a big cut loose earlier on the route. That mistake, and at this point here I think it was just a case of just plough on to get as many holds as possible. The hold 40 that she had in her right hand. Good enough for a provisional second place at the moment, eh?
Yeah, you can see it there. First place,
Yeah,
yes,
40
Chandler.
plus.
So she was given the plus there. And she did move up towards the next hole, but I think she knew, and I'm sure the judges were aware, she was never going to get there, but that's not really how the scoring system works. So she is awarded 40 plus.
Recreational climbers, many climbers will know the word take or blocker. take the rope. That's a word that does not exist in competition climbing. There's no way you're going to shout down the B lane and say, oh, just take me there, I'll have a little rest. You just go for everything you've got and you just go for the next hold, even though you have fully no chance of getting it. You just go for it anyway to get the plus.
Aliska Adamovska climbing now. 25 plus for her in the semi-final, so the 3 climbers above her were quite significantly further up the semi-final route. I have to say that semi-final route looks so hard that those having done a few fewer moves might not be the end of the world.
Yeah, that's something we were discussing in the semi-final stream, is the advantage of not doing anywhere near as many moves on that semi-final route and having the opportunity to take a pretty decent rest afterwards as well. Maybe that plays into the level of fitness going into this final, what they got left. Hard to recover between rounds. Always so difficult to know how to rest. You have to go back to the room, your apartment or your hotel. Do you go for a swim, or what do you do for lunch? It's always so difficult to try and get that maximum recovery. You know, you just check in with the physio and get a massage. Everyone has their own tactics.
Work her way up through these green holds, up to the roof, may well pause, and launch into the volumes above.
Just wedges her right hip slightly against that big flat slope that she's got her right foot at now, just to try and get through every single method as efficiently as possible. See, the spotlights are now on. Either that or we're in for an epic sunset. By World Cup standards, finals actually pretty early here tonight. Usually don't start until 8 or 9 PM once it's already gone dark, and pushing through these finals here. Nice knee bar hit. Just getting a good rest just between those 2 holds. Aliska. She's just making sure that she heads into this, the meat of this route, as fresh as possible, with a nice little knee bar rest here, but she's got a pretty hard move exiting the rest. That's really well off that knee bar, kept it in all the way through to that next move to the left hand pinch. Bit of a cut loose there.
Yeah, she's going well here though. Trying to figure out how to get the clip done. Like a little knee drop, almost a knee bar.
Good use of the features on the wall here as well. Really does help to know the different elements of this lead wall.
It's a very featured lead wall. You see, most lead walls, I would have to say these days in IFSC World Cups, are blank panels. And here in Arco, there's all sorts of footholds and features. You can see it there. It's like a little work of art.
I'd say this is the second most featured wall compared to Kran in Slovenia.
Yes.
That is about as old school as it gets.
Yeah, looking forward to getting back to Slovenia in about a month or so's time for the next lead World Cup of the season.
Now she's starting the sequence. Come on,
Aliska Adamovska now, 4th to last climber. After her, after the next climber after her, which is Brooke Rabatu, we'll know some of our podiumists, or one of our podiumists. All Aliska can do, all anyone can do, is just climb as hard as he can, as far as he can.
Now gets the high heel. Those decimal point scores haven't come into play at all on those big volcano footholds. Aliska gets the jump done, no worries, and goes into the double heel hook option for the rest. Sort of see her not resting here at all, but Aliska's got there looking a fair bit fresher.
Just beginning to breathe hard. I think this is a pretty good rest actually. You can see it's incredibly steep, but it is a good hold. 40 plus the current high point.
manages to get that clip off a really nice straight armed position on that right hand crimp as well. Now she looks like she's actually going to go back and rest a little bit more.
He's probably had a look at what's to come, actually. Now has a look at the clock. Looking everywhere for the clock. There it is.
Now she's going to launch into this next section after a good rest. Really picks up the pace, but doesn't look too confident on that right hand all of a sudden.
Slaps out with the left. Needs to get the foot swap done and then really commit up to this volcano. Did well as the right foot swung out behind her. The Yanya swing, as we've come to call it. You can see there the clock. You can see her falling with about 58 seconds to go. Really good burn. It'll be enough for a new high point.
Yeah, it wasn't time in the end that was a factor for her. She did just, as soon as she came out of the rest, this is the jump, she just took a big rest and just flew into that next section of a really steep boulder problem out of the rest of these edges and in cuts on the back of these volumes. This is the point where it all came undone, at which point she was super pumped and did absolutely everything she could. Aliska Adamovska will be pretty happy with that one, I think.
Yeah, I think she will. We're just waiting to have her exact score come through, somewhere in the 43-44 range. Yuka Higuchi obviously didn't get the memo about crossing your left leg over your right. Come on.
Team choreography.
43 plus Aliska Adamovska's score. So here is Brooke Rabatu, fresh from Hachioji, fresh from qualifying for the Olympics. What an incredible week it was in Japan for Brooke. And having won the Youth A Lead World Championship in Moscow last year, she now competes in the Junior World Championship final. Climbing out of Boulder, Colorado. Rabatu, Ebbsfield family, a true climbing family, climbing royalty.
Do hope here with so much emotion around Brooke and her performance in Japan that she can just focus on the job in hand, try and nail a World Championship medal here.
Well, it's a good point, Mike, but I think she seemed to deal with it pretty well so far, and hopefully that will continue. But I agree, yeah, it can't have been easy to basically achieve your wildest dream and then jump on a plane, fly however many hours it is back over to Europe and then still produce your best on the lead wall. It's not ideal circumstances.
There was a few people suggesting it wouldn't even be possible to compete in both World Championships. Brooke proving that theory fully wrong here. It's a bit of an awkward clip there, not ideal, but she won't have struggled on that element of the route at all. Really good pinches for both left and the right hand here for Brooke.
Let's go, Brooke!
The local MC here actually does give a lot of chat about the individual climbers, and sometimes you wonder if that's slightly off-putting for them. It really gives a good history lesson to all of the fans out there. Must be weird climbing whilst your whole family heritage is being read out. Hopefully she'll just block that out though here, Brooke, and just concentrate on getting the job done.
Good, Brooke!
As Yuka Higuchi climbed earlier, the MC was giving a really good bit of chat about Akio Noguchi. Big fan of climbing, the MC here.
Yeah, I believe he's got a handy climber himself. So Brooke now really getting into the meat of this route.
Go, bud! Come on, Brooke! Good, Brooke!
No issues so far for Brooke. Nice and smooth up until this point.
Local MC's been through the full Hamley heritage, and now he's on to the fact that she qualified for the Olympics. She's already halfway up the route.
beauty in your actions now. Really beautiful and easy action from Brooke.
Climbing really nicely so far, Brooke. It was a big result for her last year in Moscow when she took that Youth World Championships in Youth A. Steps up into junior this year.
Yeah, just questioning her sequence a little bit here. She's gone for the left-hand cross-through method. That does look really good if you can make it work. Doesn't bother resting at all in that sequence. Nice wrap of this volume, just so cryptic this next area as to which hands to go first. Some climbers have struggled on that left-hand undercut. No such issues for Brooke though. Let's see if she can enjoy this setup for this jump. Straight into that really big right heel. Now steps across on the two giant matching volcanoes. Imagine the heart rate just really kicks up a notch. Just got to bring the feet across, does bring the feet across.
Brooke lines up the jump, actually doesn't struggle with it too much. Had to really commit though. If there was any sort of hesitation, it could be fatal there. She just kept on motoring. That's exactly the way to do it.
Really good angle of what she's up against here. That gives you a realistic idea of how steep this will. As Brooke jumps into the double heel hooks. You can see how the root twists from right into the left top groove there.
Brooke, I think, took a bit of a rest, but now wants to get on with things. Pretty uncomfortable clipping position. Anytime you've got to reach through across your body to the far side, it's generally pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah, we're seeing that clip done both off that left crimp as Brooke did it, and off the right crimp as well. Another reach through clip. That familiar style of Brooks now with the dragging of the holes, little finger drops off. See that so much in the youth competition. This is nice now for Brooke, getting close to a high point. I think Brooke is only really going to be satisfied with something very close to a top here. Already secured the high point, so that's hold 45.
Yeah, that's Brooke. Already onto the high point, as Mike says, but could we see at the top of the route to complete what's been an excellent series of finals so far this evening.
See the forearms just locking up a little bit.
Just needs to keep on motoring here. A lot of time and energy being spent trying to figure out what to do with the feet. Now she does commit to the heel hook.
Left heel on top of a dual texture pocket. Manages to look like she's going to get something back. There is such an awkward position here for Brooke Rabatou. Can she get out of this? Can she get her heel out? Does really well to release the heel and still pushes on. Hold 50 now. What a fight here for Brooke Rabatou. 52 is the right hand. Gets into that really big splits that we saw earlier in the Youth A category. Managing to use that flexibility to advantage and get something back here. She looked in trouble early through that section of pockets through hold 47 and 48. With that rest, Brooke Rabatou is pushing really high now.
Could be a top here for Brooke. She'll have to get everything right and does not quite get the foot swap right. You just need to throw her off balance, but it's a comfortable high point, and that means that she will be on the podium as she moves up into the junior category from Youth A. May well be a gold medal, it will be at least a bronze.
Yeah, that's the equal high point that we've seen tonight. Obviously the highest point we've seen in this female junior category of 54 plus, firing out to that left hand, and she looks super pumped and a huge smile on her face. I think what she really wanted to do tonight was put in a big fight and get a real good test for her fitness. With such a big build up from the local MC, she did really well there, just focused on the job in hand. Really didn't look nervous at any stage on the route. What an athlete.
Yeah, there you can see it, 54 plus for Brooke Rabatou. Really strong performance for her, coincidentally. The same score that won and claimed second in the Youth A. So Brooke will be on the podium. We know that.
Just shows you how closely matched the Youth A and the junior category are. Route sets have really measured the level perfectly here. They certainly know their categories.
Nolwenn Arc, the penultimate climber out, really seems to have memorised the route well. That's impressive, because remember, observation for these climbers was best part of 3 hours ago. They observed it, pretty much 20 to 5, 20 to 8. Big difference between those climbers and the ones who climbed first, the male Youth A climbers.
Really does challenge a different skill set outside of the direct climbing abilities, the ability to remember the line. Actually, the climbers after observation do walk straight past our commentary position back to their isolation area, quite away from the facility here, and you can all see them chatting together about the moves, mining the different hand sequences, really discussing everything, really trying to drill that into the short-term memory as much as possible. Sometimes climbers actually, when they go back, get the notepad out and just start to draw a few sequences on the piece of paper just to really start to cement it.
So Nolwenn Arc underway, very, very strong French climber. We've said it a couple of times, but the French youth team certainly outperforming their senior counterparts right now. Really hesitate getting involved in those black volumes. Nolwenn. Fresh from winning the last European Youth Cup this season in Imst. Again, we mentioned earlier about the wall at Imst. It is like the one in here in Arco, very high, very long, a lot of moves. Nolwenn looking very composed at this stage. Not really kind of gone for any moves. Hasn't looked like she's needed to.
Yeah, this is a style that we saw from her in the semi-finals, but in a really good fight there. But yeah, sometimes you question, oh, is she going too slowly? She's using too much sort of static power, but absolutely seems to work for her.
So last Youth World Championships, this Nolwenn Arc. She will be too old for these Youth World Championships next year. Born in 2000, picked up second last year in Moscow. Is only here for one thing, this time in 2019.
Looks really comfortable on that volume wrap, comfortable enough to be able to get the clip off it. Really good body positioning for going into that left-hand undercut volume that quite a few climbers have struggled with tonight.
Now then, will she give the judges food for thought and trying to figure out how to move around these green volumes?
It's actually interesting. None of the climbers in the older category have used those big footholds or handholds at all. So just kind of going back to a little bit what you were saying there, just that the older categories really, as you push through the juniors into the seniors, make seemingly less mistakes when it comes to the route reading. Just that level of experience, years on the wall. Really interesting little resting position there, laying off that volume with a little heel toe lock on the right foot. Now pushes into the jumping position and lines up this nice little double.
Good work from Nolwenn Arc again. We haven't seen anyone fall on the jump. I initially thought it looked pretty hard, but perhaps it is just one of those jumps that the route setters put in just to play with the climbers.
Yeah, creates a good show. A couple of good photos on that, no doubt. Someone will have found some epic position up a tree somewhere that's, you know, got the most beautiful scenery in the background for the photos. Up a lamppost or something. Someone always comes up with some amazing shot.
Or just tap the route setters up and get them to get the cherry picker in the air. So as you make your way up through the arrowheads,
all of a sudden you can see she just picks up the pace through this harder, steeper section.
I think quite sensibly as well. 54 plus the high point of Brooke Rabatou.
Absolute race to beat the pump to the top of the ball now. But Rabbitoon got a little bit confused in this sequence, but did sort of manage to figure out a pretty decent rest using that heel hook exactly.
Yeah, Brooke kind of couldn't quite decide whether to use a heel hook and drop back down.
No,
He had it with the left. No one's got it with the right.
Yeah, she's got like a really good foot lock in there that's going to work really well, but she may have just blocked the pocket for her right hand. She does manage to squeeze it in next to her ankle.
This is what we like to see. Asks the crowd to give her something.
So comfortable in that position. That footlock is absolutely amazing. Bet the root setters didn't see that one coming. All of a sudden sprints into the next section of moves.
No-One Arc has looked really, really solid up until here, and I have to say has looked the most likely climber to find a top. What can she do here? This is a tough move out to the crimp, but you wouldn't know it from her climbing. Super smooth so far. Just swaps that left hand to a wrap, commits up to the pinch with the left hand. Are we about to see our first top of the route? We would have done surely if the left foot hadn't slipped for No-One Arc, but that will be first place for her with only Laura Rigora to come. She moves into the gold medal position, and like the rest of us can only watch, looks absolutely delighted with that performance, and I can see why.
Superb battle on the top of all. She was absolutely superb, you have to say, through pretty much every single sequence on that route. Climbed really well to the rest, took the rest when they were available, clipped really smoothly, and used her heel toe locks to some mythical new level of technique to get a little rest between those top pockets and a little wave to the crowd. It was a superb performance. This is the jump, sort of 2/3 height. No hesitation at all, just a quick crouch down just to load the springs in the legs and then just power through. This is the top move, first climb we've seen today, controlling that left hand volume, and then had a look at the top jump, and it was the left foot that completely went. Great sportsmanship there from Brooke Rabbitoon, just all smiles and hugs all round.
It's one of the things about climbing that's tricky is you just watch someone surpass you, and you can't help but be a bit disappointed, but I'm impressed at the level of sportsmanship. You can see there, No-One Arc 55 plus was surely, you'd have to say, on for a top, but it's just the foot that popped. And now it's Laura Rigora. Now she'll need to match that 55 plus if she wants to take the win.
I have to say, Charlie, just talking about how difficult it is to route set, these guys have done an epically good job. You know, the semi-final was brutal, but they've really nailed this one.
I really agree, yeah. It's there's a lot of extra factors that go into an already complicated job for route setting when you're setting for youth climbers, and I feel they've knocked it out of the park. They've really got it right.
So can the local hero Laura Rigora really put the icing on the cake for her and for the route setters at the top of the final route? We've seen two climbers getting really close to the top moves.
So Laura gets straight on with it. What a Hollywood finish this is. Climb in front of her home crowd. Last one out. We haven't had a top yet in any of the finals. They've been perfectly set, but nobody's quite managed to execute the final move on any of the routes, and Laura Rigora has the chance to be crowned Youth World Champion. She's in the younger half of this junior category, 2001. So we could be set up for the Hollywood finish.
Times European Cup winner. Let's see if she can put that experience. Here we've seen Laura Rigora actually featuring quite a lot in the senior game now as well. Looks like she's going to use this double wrap method before moving out right, avoiding the little left hand crimp completely into that knee bar as well. That's becoming a familiar sequence now. She's actually pretty short even for this category, Laura Rigora, so if maybe she can keep that knee bar all the way through into that next left hand that's after this next set of triangles.
You might remember actually when Laura Rigora made her senior debut and kind of exploded onto the scene back in Vila in 2017. Where's that 2 years gone? And was 6th. Just kind of almost came from nowhere. She'd had a good, and continues to have a good youth career, but really exploded onto the scene. Since then, ever so slightly dropped back, not been consistently making finals by any means, but as Mike said, very much mixing it with the senior climbers. 19th in Hachiyoji in the combined and 20th in the lead.
Already Laura Agora's into this techie little volume section right underneath this jump.
So Laura, venue MC says she's totally in control, and I have to say at this stage I agree. Nolwenn Arc really was in total control, but still couldn't quite nail that last move. Would be great to see a route topped, especially this route that's now had 16 climbers attempting it. Laura Agora with the jump. I think I had the right tactic there. Don't think about it too much. Got to be done. Get in position. Off you go.
Yeah, it's certainly a climber that's been working on her jumps quite a lot recently, because she's started to feature a lot more in the senior bouldering semi-finals, and it's all about the circus tricks there. But like I said, no hesitation whatsoever, and no doubt she's really been enjoying this rest of that flexibility. Completely straight-legged on the right leg, straight arm, straight leg.
Brava Laura. Ale Laura, dai ragazzi!
Almost climbing to the music here, sorry to interrupt.
Eccolo qua, lo stadio di Arco.
DJ's got one eye on Laura, one eye on his decks.
Ale Lauretta, ho lasciato perdere l'inglese perché questa me la voglio commentare in
Laura
italiano per
taking a pretty
commentare con
reasonable
il cuore in
rest.
mano.
Just judging only by the nature of her movements and occasional kind of a show of effort on her face. Ante looks a little more tired than Brooke or Nolwenn at this stage. She has got fantastic endurance. Can't just keep on motoring Laura Agora. She's definitely stepped up the speed. And the DJ and the MC do likewise. The music and the talking really speeding up. Laura Agora getting all the encouragement they can give her. There's a few members of Team Italy down the front screaming to her on as well. She's going to go for the heel hook, a foot jab. We've seen a couple of methods of dealing with this section of the room. Laura Agora bumping up the left hand. And she'll come into that big blunt volume. And that is just not what you want to see when you're pumped. Negotiate out around it. This is no joke either, this move out to the right. It's not an amazing crimp she's going for. You need that right foot to stay nice and solid. Now Laura Agora going up with the left hand again. This is not an easy move. She nails it though. Can the foot stay in place? Can she claim the first top of the night? She cannot, but she has done enough to win. Laura Agora, Youth World Champion. She couldn't find a way to the top. She couldn't have gone much closer, but she has won the gold medal. It will be Laura Agora in first place, Nolwenn Arc in second, and Brooke Raboutou in third. Italy claim a home gold medal.
Absolutely superb scenes here in the Youth World Championships. It's really hairs on the back of your neck as Laura Agora was pushing through those top few moves. The way that she hit that top left-hand pinch, had to use so much power. All the athletes running over now to congratulate her. She takes the win away from Nolwenn Arc, who's giving her the hugs there. And the atmosphere in the arena here was absolutely epic, and a superb win for Laura Agora.
Yeah, I don't think the foot slipped as it did for Nolwenn Arc. She was just slightly short on that top move. Amazing awareness from Nolwenn Arc, from Laura as well. Knew straight away that she'd won it. Perhaps was able to figure out from backstage what was going on. Of course, she can hear all the chat from out here.
Absolutely brilliant finals all the way through to tonight's great show from the organisers, great show from the route setters, and especially a great show from the athletes. Very incredible performances all the way through.
Laura Agora can scarcely believe it. It is true, you have won the Youth World Championships in your home country, And ominously enough, for next year's Youth World Championship, she will still be here in this junior category. We'll get the results on the screen for you. When they are updated, they're updating online. And here they are. Laura Rigora in first place, Nolan Arc in second, and Brooke Rabitou taking third place. What a 10 days it's been for Brooke Rabitou. Qualify for the Olympics, make a 24-hour journey to Italy, to a country and a little town that means so much to everyone in your family, and pick up a Youth World Championship bronze medal. A good week's work by any measure.
This arena has seen a lot of good climbing and a lot of good attempts, and not many come better than that tonight in that female junior category final. The top 3 climbers really putting on a brilliant show.
Yeah, and as we talked a little bit about how closely matched those categories are, only one move better to win the junior than to win the Youth A. So that is all from Mike and I. Tomorrow there's an awful lot going on here in the arena. If you're in the local area, come along and watch. We won't be live streaming. Our next live action is 3 p.m. on Tuesday. Boulder semi-finals for junior men and Youth B women. And then that same evening, Tuesday, we've got speed finals junior women, speed finals Youth A women, and speed finals Youth A men. And from there, the action just keeps on coming. But that's all from Mike and I. Stay with us to watch the podiums, and we will speak to you 3 p.m. on Tuesday.
we are going to start with the ceremony awards. So I will remember to athlete, I will call the athlete for the youth A male, please. Alberto Gino Lopez, Colin Duffy, and Nishida Idemasa comes to the stage because we're going to start the ceremony awards. For the female category, Luz 2D, Natsumi Hirano, Nika Potapova, please come to the stage because we're going to start with the ceremony awards. And for the junior female, Rock Rabatu, Naue Arch, and Clara Robra, please come to the stage because we're going to start with the ceremony awards. And sorry, I'm looking for a purely quiet song for the ceremony awards. Alberto, Colin, and the man. Okay, perfect. Luz, Natsumi. I'm looking for Nika Potapova for the award ceremony. Please, Nika comes to the stage because we're going to have the ceremony awards. So, please, Nika Potapova comes to the stage because we are going to have the ceremony awards. And for the junior female category, we are looking for Brooke Rabatu, Nowen Arc, and Laura Rogora for the ceremony award that is going to start right now. Right, I can see Laura and Nika coming there, perfect. So I need Noel Arc, eccola qua, l'ho vista, I saw you, perfect. And Brooke Rabatu, Brooke Rabatu, Brooke Rabatu. Oh, okay, got it. So, ladies and gentlemen, the victory ceremony for the World Youth Championship 2019 category Youth A Male Lead. Signore e signori, la cerimonia di premiazione per il campionato del mondo giovanile 2019 categoria Youth A Male Lead. Please welcome the medalist. Diamo il benvenuto al medagliere. Medals and trophy will be presented by, le medaglie e i trofei saranno consegnati da Mr. Pierre-Henri Payasson, Vice President of the IFSC, and Davide Battistella, President of Federazione Arrampicata Sportiva Italiana, and Maria Luisa Tavernini, Counselor of Sport for the city of Arco. Bronze medalist representing Spain, medaglia di bronzo rappresentante della Spagna, Alberto Guinness Lopez. Silver medalist representing USA, medaglia d'argento rappresentante degli USA, Colin Duffy. Gold medalist and world champion 2019 for the category Youth A Male Lead representing Japan. Medaglia d'oro e campione del mondo 2019 per la categoria Youth A Male Lead rappresentante del Giappone, Hidemasa Nishida. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem of... Signore e signori, alziamoci in piedi per l'inno nazionale del Giappone. Ladies and gentlemen, the World Championships medalist. Signore e signori, il medagliere del campionato del mondo 2019. Let's going on with the ceremony award for the female USA category. Ladies and gentlemen, the victory ceremony for the World Youth Championships 2019 category Youth A Female Lead. Signore e signori, la cerimonia di premiazione per il campionato del mondo giovanile 2019 per la categoria Youth A femminile Lead. Please welcome the medalist. Diamo il benvenuto al medagliere. Medals and the tree will be presented by le medaglie e i trofei saranno consegnati da Mr. Pierre-Henri Paillasson, Vice President of the International Federation of Sport Climbing, and Davide Battistella, President of Federazione Arrampicata Sportiva Italiana, and Maria Luisa Tavernini, Counselor of Sport for the city of Arco. Bronze medalist representing France. Medaglia di bronzo rappresentante della Francia, plus 2D. Silver medalist representing Japan. Medaglia d'argento rappresentante del Giappone, Natsumi Hirano. Gold medalist and world champion 2019 for the category Youth A Female Lead representing Ucraina. Medaglia d'oro e campione del mondo 2019 per la categoria Youth A Female Lead representing Ucraina, Nika Potapova. Signore e signori, alziamoci in piedi per l'inno nazionale dell'Ucraina. Ladies and gentlemen, the World Championships medalist, signore e signore, il medagliere del campionato del mondo. Now here we are, let's go on with the ceremony awards for the junior category. Ladies and gentlemen, the victory ceremony for the World Youth Championships 2019, category Junior Female Lead. Signore e signori, la cerimonia di premiazione per il campionato del mondo giovanile 2019, categoria Junior Femminile Lead. Please welcome the medalist. Diamo il benvenuto al medagliere. The medals and the trophy will be presented by. I medaglie e i trofei saranno consegnati da Mr. Pierre-Henri Payasson, Vice President of the International Federation Sport Climbing, and Maria Luisa Tavernini, Counselor for Sport for the city of Arco, and Davide Battistella, President of Federazione Arrampicata Sportiva Italiana. Bronze medalist representing USA, medaglia di bronzo rappresentante degli USA, Rock Rabatu. Silver medalist representing France, medaglia d'argento rappresentante della Francia, Nolwenn Arc. medalist and world champion 2019 for the category junior female lead, representing Italy, medaglia d'oro e campionessa del mondo 2019 per la categoria junior female lead, rappresentante l'Italia, Laura Rogora! Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national team of Italy. Signore e signori, alziamoci in piedi per l'inno nazionale italiano. Ladies and gentlemen, the World Championship medalist. Signore e signori, il medagliere del campionato del mondo. And so this is it. Thank you everybody that has been in the stadium with us. Thank you guys. Grazie a tutti quanti che siete stati qui con noi. Grazie al service Riti. Fatemi un cavolo di applauso per il DJ Andrea Ciscato che ha suonato per tutti. Grazie Cischi, non so dove sei. Ah, eccolo, è lui. Thank you to all the staff from people of Rockmaster. Grazie a tutti per i ragazzi dello staff. Thank you to all the federation, international federation. Insomma, thank you. See you tomorrow.